Chapter 2706. Rich wind energy suddenly surged out. It was a fruit filled with perfect wind loss. He could clearly feel the rhythm of the wind when he held it in his hand. Pure and exquisite wind energy condensed in the small fruit. Lin Feng had no doubt that he could instantly master 100,000 wind origins and comprehend the heavenly law as long as he swallowed the wind fruit. However, it had no effect on him at all. Its only use was to exchange for battle merits. Windward fruit won 5 million battle merits. Do you want to exchange? The message from the top-level intelligence in the battle order space was clear and simple. Lin Feng chose to agree. He did not need to hesitate as he walked the path of light and darkness in the cultivation of universal laws. A falling star treasure map is worth between 3 million and 5 million battle merits. This one seems to be a loss. Lin Feng's falling star treasure map was worth more than 5 million battle merits. It was a big loss to exchange only one. 5 million battle merits, including a fruit-type key. However, it was all luck and a gamble. Lin Feng did not care too much. It was not too difficult for him to obtain battle merits with his strength even in the falling star tower. 2. Lin Feng instantly sensed 2 high-level ultimate gods auras approaching. However, they obviously did not sense him as they were not heading toward him. In the falling star tower, apart from some ultimate gods who had activated their promotion mission, there were more than 80% of ultimate gods who had not activated their promotion mission or had completed it. Killing such ultimate gods would naturally earn him battle merits. The 2 of them together are worth 28 million battle merits. The Chaos Treasure is worth 570,000 and almost 2 million battle merits. Lin Feng calculated his gains from that battle. It was too easy to kill 2 high-level ultimate gods with the Illusion Sea Sword, as they did not have a particularly strong defensive Chaos Treasure. With 200 battle merits and the Chaos Treasure, any battle in the Falling Star Tower would earn him more than 1 million battle merits. It was not something the Fallen Star Realm could compare to. I've mastered the Illusion Sea Sword, but I'm still a little unfamiliar with the Falling Star's secret technique. I can't practice it. Lin Feng was also helpless. Although his Source Sea was vast, he could not afford to use his Source Sea's energy to attack again and again, as his opponents were all high-level and peak ultimate gods. More than half of his Source Sea would be consumed after a few attacks, and it would take a long time to recover. However, if he didn't use the Origin Sea, he wouldn't be able to fully master the secret technique, Meteor Fall, to unleash 100 or even 120% of its power. It was very contradictory. I wonder if the ancient battlefield has any treasures that can restore the Origin Sea's energy. If the ancient battlefield did not exist, Lin Feng would have no other choice. He had a good trump card, but he could not use it to his heart's content. He continued to complete the promotion mission. There was still one more 1-star Fallen Star treasure map. With the experience of his first failure, Lin Feng did not hold much hope for this one. The truth was indeed so. A mere 1-star Fallen Star treasure map, even if it was good, had its limits. What Lin Feng was truly interested in were the 2 2-star Meteor Fall treasure maps and the only 3-star Meteor Fall treasure map in his possession. If a suitable treasure appeared there, it would definitely be something good. Almost there. In the process of searching for the treasure, Lin Feng went through 5 more killings and successfully killed one of the high-level ultimate gods, completing 4/5 of the promotion mission. At that moment, the remaining 1-star Fallen Star treasure map was calling out to him. Whoosh! Lin Feng was extremely fast. With his previous experience, Lin Feng was very fast this time. The Fallen Star treasure map was suspended in the air, flashing and projected on the ground. The bright meteors on the Fallen Star treasure map were condensed, and the fruits and treasures broke out of the ground in an instant. Oh! Lin Feng felt an abundance of soul origin power. It was obviously a fruit that was closely related to the soul. Not bad. Although he did not know how it worked, it was obviously suitable for him and was better than the windward fruit. The average value of a 1-star Fallen Star treasure map was equivalent to a good top chaotic treasure and was about 1 million battle merits. The windward fruit was actually not a loss, as it was worth 5 million battle merits, which was also above average. It was just that he did not need it. However, this soul-type fruit, Yahitian, 800,000 battle merits. Do you want to exchange? Lin Feng immediately put it into the battle order space. He did not sell it, but wanted to know its value. This soul-type fruit's value was not as high as the windward fruit from before. It was only half of its value. However, it was more valuable than the windward fruit to him. At the very least, it could strengthen his strength. I don't know if it's effective on the origin soul or the source C. Lin Feng could feel a clear fluctuation of soul origin power. This was obviously not a fruit that could improve soul control. Although Lin Feng wanted to improve his soul control the most, it was also good to strengthen his origin soul and source C. This was because he was fighting with a one-thought ultimate god. The specialty of the Fallen Star continent is the Black Pool Jade. It should be a treasure that can improve soul control. Lin Feng refined it. Yahitian's pure airflow filled his body, and his source C instantly churned. Walala, ripples spread out as the source C spread out like an army conquering the surrounding area. Lin Feng was very familiar with such changes. This was a sign of the expansion of the source C. As the universe in his body became stronger, his source C was constantly expanding. Not bad, right? Lin Feng smiled. Although what he wanted the most was a treasure that could restore his Origin C's energy and expand his Origin C, it wouldn't be of much help in the current situation. The Source C had expanded, but the Origin Soul power that was consumed could not be replenished. It's fine as long as it can be used. Lin Feng was content with what he had. Exchanging such a treasure for battle merits was the most wasteful. If he could consume and refine it to improve his strength in all aspects, no matter what the improvement was, at least it was not a waste. There's one more. Kill it, and I'll complete the promotion mission. Lin Feng's eyes were sharp. At this time, a new light spot suddenly appeared on the map of a unique mission not far from him. Lin Feng was extremely fast. He knew what was going on. The first ultimate god he killed, Piku, had come to kill him in the same way. It was a newcomer who had just started the promotion mission. Moreover, it had appeared right beside him. Generally speaking, newcomers were much easier to kill than veterans. He's unlucky. Lin Feng was extremely fast. In the instant he flew, his source C moved, and the illusion C sword flew out. He could clearly sense the aura of a peak ultimate god. To Lin Feng, there was no difference whether it was a high-level ultimate god or a peak ultimate god. He would fight directly. Whoosh! The illusion C sword's origin soul power erupted. Lin Feng controlled the illusion C sword from a distance. At this time, their auras were colliding. Lin Feng was not at a disadvantage in the competition of the inner universe. However, Lin Feng was stunned the moment the illusion C sword attacked the opponent. No way. Chapter 2707. Found him. He's in the Starfall Tower and completed the promotion mission. Illy Universe God sent the message as fast as he could with a crazed look on his face. He did not expect to bump into the target as soon as he started the promotion mission. The human Lin Feng. The Yin-Yang Universe God had already clearly informed him of Lin Feng's characteristics. Huang Zun's aura and internal universe were comparable to a peak ultimate god. There was no need to look at his attack method or appearance. Just these two things alone were enough to judge. His life aura and internal universe power could not be hidden. They would be exposed as long as he fought. The Yin-Yang Universe God led all the universe gods under his command to gather. One group searched for the Starfall Realm, while the other searched for the Starfall Tower. 3 universe gods started the promotion mission and quickly completed it to the 3rd floor of the Starfall Tower. One of them was Illy Universe God. The Yin-Yang Universe God would not let go of any possibility. Although the human Lin Feng was Huang Zun, he could kill Illy Universe God, and his strength could enter the 3rd floor of the Starfall Tower. The Yin-Yang Universe God would not let go of any possible area. Well done, Illy. Hold him back. I'll be there immediately. The Yin-Yang Universe God laughed. It was really easy to get what he wanted. He did not expect to be so lucky as to bump into Lin Feng as soon as he sent Ely Universe God into the Starfall Tower. After all, the Starfall Tower was so big and the human Lin Feng was so cunning that he could change his appearance and body shape. He could only be distinguished in battle. It was extremely lucky to bump into him. However, there were thousands of ultimate God experts on the second floor of the Starfall Tower. Although the Yin-Yang Universe God was fast and rushed to the second floor of the Starfall Tower, his communication with Ely Universe God was cut off the moment he entered the Starfall Tower. Ely? Ely. The Yin-Yang Universe God's consciousness repeatedly shouted, but did not get any response. It was as if Ely Universe God's line was suddenly cut off. All his communication sank into the sea, and there was no response. Damn it! Yin-Yang God's hair stood on end like an enraged beast. He knew what was going on. It was obvious that Yin-Yang God was dead. Just like Tikimo, he died at the hands of the human Lin Feng. The first time might be due to luck, but the second time would no longer be due to luck. The human Lin Feng did indeed have the strength to kill an eternal god. Huang Zun is merely a peak ultimate god, but he has an internal universe comparable to a peak ultimate god and can easily kill Yin God. The Yin-Yang Grand Eternity God finally understood why the will of the heavenly Tao was so afraid and why Sheng Jin Grand Eternity God was so concerned about venerable primal chaos. They were too terrifying. Even someone as strong as Eternal God, EU was killed in a short period of time. You can't run. The Yin-Yang God's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. He strode into the second floor of the Falling Star Tower. Since he knew that Lin Feng was on the second floor, he was confident that he could kill him. This was his chance. My luck is really good. Lin Feng looked at Eternal God, EU's corpse helplessly. There were only identical light spots on the promotion mission map. It was impossible to distinguish who was who. Only when the Fantasy Sea Sword attacked during the battle did he see the opponent's true face. The Universe 7's Inquisition God was not much different from other peak ultimate gods. After all, this was not the original universe. The only difference was that the Universe 7's Inquisition God's armor had the logo of the Universe 7's Inquisition God. However, these could only be seen with the naked eye. I've been exposed again. Lin Feng laughed involuntarily. He felt that he was a crafty rabbit with 3 burrows and was desperately trying to hide. But no matter how he hid, he would be exposed. Originally, completing the promotion mission and entering the 3rd floor of the Falling Star Tower could buy him a lot of time. However, he was now met by the Universe 7's Inquisition God. His luck was too bad. Forget about them. I'll be caught no matter how I run. I'll just advance as fast as possible. At least they'll need some time to come up. Lin Feng had completed the promotion mission and obtained the right to enter the 3rd floor of the Falling Star Tower. The experts of the Universe 7's Inquisition God should first search the 2nd floor. They would only enter the 3rd floor when they couldn't find him. However, they were the same as him in the Supreme God World battlefield. There was nothing special about them. They had to complete the promotion mission to enter the 3rd floor of the Falling Star Tower. As long as he was fast enough, he would be on the 3rd floor when they searched the 2nd floor. When they searched the 3rd floor, he would already be on the top floor. The top floor of the Falling Star Tower could lead to the ancient battlefield. It's just as I thought. After stepping onto the 3rd floor of the Falling Star Tower, Lin Feng received another unique mission. It was almost the same as the promotion mission on the 2nd floor. To advance to the top floor of the Falling Star Tower, he also needed to kill 5 cultivators who initiated this mission. Lin Feng directly ignored the other option of surviving for 100 years. If he really dragged on for that long, the Universe 7's Inquisition God would have kidnapped him and sent him back to the original universe. Surviving for 100 years was suitable for ultimate gods who were not very strong, but had strong life-saving abilities. The 2nd floor of the Falling Star Tower mainly consists of medium and high-level ultimate gods with some peak ultimate gods. The 3rd floor of the Falling Star Tower is full of peak ultimate gods with physical origin power between 1,000 to 10,000 times. There are also some powerful high-level ultimate gods. The peak ultimate gods who initiated the mission are probably at the level of Yi Li and Zhou Shun. Lin Feng also knew that this round of the mission was much more difficult. Those ultimate gods on the second floor of the Falling Star Tower could be defeated, but it was very difficult to kill them. It was even more difficult to kill peak ultimate gods on this floor. There were only 27 light spots flashing on the map. Those who were still alive were definitely not easy to deal with. I have to be fast. Lin Feng clearly knew that once the Universe 7's Inquisition God could not find him on the second floor, they would quickly go up to the third floor. There were only 27 peak ultimate gods who initiated the mission on the third floor. It was too easy for them to lock onto him. It was not difficult to guess his motive: to enter the ancient battlefield. With the Universe 7's Inquisition God's caution, I guess the entrance to the second floor of the Falling Star Tower has been sealed. Lin Feng knew how the Universe 7's Inquisition God worked. Once he was exposed, he would be caught like a turtle in a jar. The Falling Star Tower was big enough in terms of jar, but the Universe 7's Inquisition God's way of thinking was too simple. I'm only afraid of the Cosmic God. Lin Feng had already killed 2 Cosmic Gods. The Cosmic Gods without the protection of the Heavenly Tao were just ordinary peak ultimate gods and were not scary. He could kill them as long as he encountered them. Only the Cosmic God was still a peak ultimate god, even without the protection of the Heavenly Tao. His strength level was 2 levels higher than his own. There's nothing I can do if I really encounter him. Lin Feng had already prepared for the worst. His figure was like lightning as he rushed to the nearest white light spot. He also had 2 falling star treasure maps that had not been opened on this floor. I hope it can give me a little surprise. Chapter 2708. On the second floor of the Meteorite Tower. Just as Lin Feng had expected, the Yin-Yang Cosmic God had arrived with all the Cosmic Gods. 2 of them were guarding the entrance to the second floor to prevent Lin Feng from escaping to the first floor and leaving via teleportation. The rest were searching for him on the second floor. Report immediately once you find any suspicious traces. I'd rather kill the wrong person than let him go. The Yin-Yang Cosmic God led the search. He had completed his promotion mission when he was an ultimate god and could enter and leave the Meteorite Tower at will. However, he didn't have a map, so he wasn't as clear as the other cosmic gods who had received the promotion mission. However, that wasn't important. The cosmic gods could clearly sense each other's position and could communicate through consciousness. As long as one cosmic god discovered Lin Feng, the Yin-Yang Cosmic God would be able to sense his position and teleport directly. It was impossible to teleport in and out of the Meteorite Tower. However, on the second floor of the Meteorite Tower, one could teleport directly to any place on the second floor. The Yin-Yang Cosmic God was a peak Yuan Venerate, so he wasn't afraid of the danger of teleportation. So what if he was attacked by an ultimate god? Could an ultimate god hurt him? Sir, could the target have already reached the third floor? Cosmic God Yunlu was the Yin-Yang Cosmic God's most capable subordinate. Not only was he the strongest among the cosmic gods, but he was also extremely intelligent. It's possible, but don't worry. The Yin-Yang Cosmic God's eyes glowed. He just killed Cosmic God Ili not long ago. The possibility of completing the promotion mission is not high because he needs to kill 5 mission takers. The probability of Cosmic God Ili being the 5th is only 20%. Take it slow. Search the second floor first and confirm the identities of all 145 light spots. It won't take long. He can't leave the Meteorite Tower and can only climb up. The promotion mission on the third floor isn't that easy to complete. It'll take at least a few decades and at most a few thousand years. The Yin-Yang Cosmic God had experienced a promotion mission before. In the Supreme God Realm's 10 great battlefields, one had to complete the promotion mission in the end. The Meteorite Tower wasn't the only tower. It was one of the components of the Hongmeng source items. When the Yin-Yang Cosmic God completed the promotion mission, it only took him 10 years to complete the second floor, but 500 years to complete the third floor. It was too difficult to kill an ultimate god there. Taking a step back, even if Lin Feng was extraordinarily talented, completing the mission on the third floor would only allow him to enter the top floor of the Meteor Shower Tower. He would have to complete the most demanding final mission before he could enter the ancient battlefield. The time needed to complete the final mission was calculated in epochs. If you force a dog into a dead end, he won't be able to escape. No matter how fast he runs, he's just a dog that ran to the top. The yin-yang god's eyes were filled with contempt and coldness. He suddenly clenched his fists, revealing a dense, baleful aura. You can't escape from my grasp. Everyone had their own plans. If it were any other Ian god, once they discovered Lin Feng's tracks, they might have already notified Ian god Xingjin and sent even more Ian gods to capture him. It was even possible that Ian god Xingjin would personally come. At that time, Lin Feng's situation would be extremely dangerous. However, the yin-yang god was extremely ambitious. This was also the reason why he accepted this mission. As a grand Yin god, although he had obtained the favor of the heavenly Tao and was bestowed with great strength, at the same time, he was also bound by the heavenly Tao. If he wanted to increase his strength and break through his shackles, he could only rely on the heavenly Tao's bestowment. For example, he could become one of the three master Ian gods like Ian god Xingjin. The yin-yang god wanted to replace Ian god Xingjin. Therefore, this was his best opportunity. Phew! The space shook and the color of blood filled the air. Violent energy fluctuations remained in the void. Lin Feng controlled the Mirage Sea Sword and frowned slightly. Although he had injured his opponent in the battle that had just ended, he had still let his opponent escape. Compared to the opponents on the second level, the peak ultimate gods here were not only stronger, but also more cunning and had excellent life-saving abilities. This was because they had all undergone the second level's baptism and completed the promotion mission. It would be great if my internal universe could be a little stronger. Lin Feng also knew that it was impossible. Unless he became an ultimate god now, his internal universe would be comparable to a peak Yuan venerate. However, he was only Huangzun. It was already very strong for his internal universe to be comparable to a peak ultimate god. It even faintly surpassed a peak ultimate god. If it exceeded but could not be suppressed, it would be impossible to control a peak ultimate god to escape. Lin Feng already knew this when he was on the second level. The Mirage Sea Sword's attack had a disadvantage. Although its attack speed was fast, it was still a controlled attack. The weakness of the Mirage Sea Sword was undoubtedly obvious when it encountered a peak ultimate god with strong defense or the ability to restrain. Once the Mirage Sea Sword was restrained, it would be easy for the opponent to escape. The peak ultimate gods here were different from Ian gods. Previously, Ian god Tik Mo had restrained the Mirage Sea Sword and attacked Lin Feng fiercely because Lin Feng was the archenemy of Universe 7's Divine Inquisition and was a target. However, the peak ultimate gods here were not that stupid. Huangzun, who could control objects with one thought, had broken through to the third level of the Falling Star Tower. What a joke. What kind of strength was this? What kind of trump card was this? Controlling objects to attack was already so terrifying. Once they got close, they would easily suffer soul attacks. Even if they could kill the opponent, they would probably die together with him. Their goal was to complete the promotion mission, not fighting spirit. There's no other way. I'll take it one step at a time. Lin Feng could not change his attack method in a short period of time. Although he could use the Source Sea to attack and kill the opponent, it was too stupid to do so. Once the Source Sea's energy was exhausted, he would lose his trump card. What if he encountered an enemy from Universe 7's Divine Inquisition? Moreover, there was a final mission waiting for him after completing the promotion mission and stepping onto the top level of the Falling Star Tower. This was not the end. The consciousness of a Falling Star treasure map is approaching. Lin Feng quickly moved forward according to the sensing. The third level of the Falling Star Tower was very big, but there were very few light spots. It would take a long time to kill 5 people to complete the promotion mission. Even if he was in a hurry, he could not rush. 2 2-star Falling Star treasure maps. The value was much more expensive than a 1-star Falling Star treasure map. The average value of a 1-star Falling Star treasure map was 1 million battle merits, but a 2-star Falling Star treasure map was worth 10 million battle merits. Although it was not difficult for Lin Feng to obtain 10 million battle merits, it was very difficult to obtain treasures worth 10 million battle merits. Such treasures were rarely sold by 5-star or 6-star warriors. Even if there were, they would not be able to snatch them. The moment they were placed in the battle order treasury, they would be instantly destroyed. The closest thing to him was the Meteor Fall treasure map that was formed using the Silver Star level key. There was no treasure type. Lin Feng had experience excavating a Meteor Fall treasure map before, so he remained calm. It would be best if it was suitable. Even if it was not a big deal. There was no need to hold too much hope. Wah! The silver light was resplendent. The falling star treasure map floated in the void, reflecting the ground. Streaks of resplendent meteors streaked across, and a vision appeared. Instantly, with a boom, the treasure broke out from the ground. Chapter 2709. It was a strangely shaped, ladder-shaped object. It was snow-white and emitted a metallic glow. The luster emitted by the fallen star treasure map fell on this ladder-shaped treasure and refracted it like a blazing sun. Smack! Lin Feng held it in his hand. The snow-white metal object was neither heavy nor big, but it was a little special. It did not have chaotic energy and was obviously not a chaos treasure. It was not surprising that Lin Feng had such a treasure. The Qin Emperor's origin heart did not have chaotic energy. This snow-white treasure was incomparable to the Qin Emperor's origin heart. After all, it was only produced from the 2-star fallen star treasure map. No matter how valuable it would only be worth tens of millions of battle merits at most, which was equivalent to a supreme grade perfect chaos treasure. However, it was a little special compared to a chaos treasure. The treasures in the battle token vault were exchanged by the ultimate gods, so they were all chaos treasures. However, this treasure was excavated from the Fallen Star treasure map and was obtained in a different way. Imperial War God token, 12 million battle merits. Do you want to exchange? The message that appeared in the top-level artificial intelligence made Lin Feng ponder. This ladder-shaped treasure was obviously unheard of. It was within his estimation that it was worth 12 million battle merits. After all, the 2-star Fallen Star treasure map was worth about 10 million battle merits. 12 million battle merits was only slightly higher than the average value. The problem was that he did not know what the Imperial War God token was used for. What if he could not exchange it after refining it? However, if he exchanged it directly, the Imperial War God token would be useful to him and would be a loss. Refine. Lin Feng thought for a moment and made a decision. At worst, he would lose 12 million battle merits. He had to give a try. He did not lack battle merits, but it would be a pity to miss out on a treasure that could be used. Moreover, he also wanted to know what the Imperial War God token's function was. Whoosh! Lin Feng directly refined the core of the Imperial War God token as his consciousness entered it. In an instant, a series of information appeared in his mind. It was a special battlefield token with a very simple function. Turn it into a battlefield. This is a treasure worth 12 million battle merits. Lin Feng did not know whether to laugh or cry. The function was simple and did not help his strength at all. It was a loss in terms of battle merits and was not a treasure that could improve his basic abilities or combat strength. However, it was still usable. Could it be that the battlefield is very special and has the effect of a domain? Lin Feng immediately used the Imperial Battle Deity Order. A snow-white radiance blossomed as the Imperial Battle Deity Order descended from the sky. In an instant, it was as if snow and ice covered the entire sky, freezing the entire area. Lin Feng stood there in a daze. He could no longer sense the outside world. There was no domain power, nor was there anything special about it. However, the area around him was completely isolated from the original space, and he could not even teleport away. The battlefield. So this was the battlefield. Interesting. Lin Feng's silhouette flickered as he got used to the Imperial War God token's battlefield. There was nothing special about it. It was just a square battlefield. Once you entered, don't even think about leaving. It couldn't be used as a control-type treasure because the battlefield was centered around the user. In other words, Lin Feng must be on the battlefield. However, it was a top-notch treasure for killing, especially suitable for cultivators with absolute strength. Previously, Fantasy Sea Sword Elder was restrained and couldn't break through his defense, giving those ultimate gods a chance to escape. Now, they can't escape. Lin Feng put away the Imperial Battle Deity Order. Escape through the spatial laws? They couldn't leave. Escape through a special treasure? They couldn't leave either. Escape through absolute speed? The battlefield also had boundaries. The only way to leave was to kill Lin Feng, and the effect of the Imperial Battle Deity Order would naturally disappear. There's another possibility. Lin Feng felt the energy fluctuation of the Imperial Battle Deity Order. It was a very special energy, different from the chaotic energy. The Imperial Battle Deity Order doesn't need laws or soul control. It's an energy treasure. It was used through energy. Once the energy was exhausted, the effect of the Imperial Battle Deity Order would disappear. Although the battlefield was released for a short time, Lin Feng could feel the energy consumption of the Imperial Battle Deity Order. It could be maintained for a long time, but not for long. It's the same as the Source Sea. Lin Feng was helpless. Although he knew that such a treasure could replenish its energy, just like the Source Sea, the problem was that he didn't have it now. It's fine as long as it can be used. At least it doesn't affect my strength. I'll give it a try. The advancement mission is too difficult. I've only killed one after an entire epic. Hierarch Brilliant Dragon sped through the Meteor Tower, searching for opponents everywhere. He wanted to step into the top floor of the Meteor Tower, but the advancement mission was too difficult. It was easier said than done to kill 5 opponents who had activated the same mission, not to mention that his strength was only above average here. Even if he could win the battle, killing him wouldn't be easy. Every ultimate god had a life-saving technique. Oh, there's one coming towards me. Hierarch Brilliant Dragon's eyes lit up as the golden M pattern on his forehead trembled, releasing spatial fluctuations as his fighting spirit soared. This position doesn't seem to belong to those old fellows. A newcomer? Hierarch Brilliant Dragon's fighting spirit was aroused. He wasn't afraid of battle since he had to fight to complete the advancement mission. Moreover, he had a powerful innate ability. Even if he couldn't defeat his opponent, he could instantly escape through the blood escape space. It was more than enough to protect himself. He's here. Hierarch Brilliant Dragon had already sensed the opponent's aura. Huangzun. Hierarch Brilliant Dragon was slightly stunned, somewhat in disbelief. However, he didn't have time to doubt it. His opponent's huge internal universe had already suppressed him. What followed was a sharp sound of breaking through the air. It was a treasure sword that flew like a meteor with soul origin power contained within. One thought ultimate god, or one thought Huangzun. Hierarch Brilliant Dragon's thoughts flashed as he faintly felt uneasy. His speed wasn't fast, and his defense wasn't strong either. It was very dangerous for him to deal with a one-thought ultimate god, especially when his opponent seemed to be hiding his strength. He could only sense Huang Zun's life aura. Pung. Hierarch Brilliant Dragon used all his strength to block the Mirage Sea Sword's attack. With one strike, he knew that his opponent's strength wasn't weak. The internal universe is too strong. Dodge. Hierarch Brilliant Dragon didn't force himself. Now it was the advancement mission, not the time to show off his strength. The golden M on his forehead emitted a resplendent light as Hierarch Brilliant Dragon was about to use his innate ability to escape through the blood escape space. Suddenly, Shua, a white light, appeared like a world of ice and snow, sealing the surroundings. The entire space seemed to have been frozen. Hierarch Brilliant Dragon's innate ability couldn't sense the outside space. He widened his eyes, completely unaware of what was happening. What's going on? This was the first time someone as experienced as Hierarch Brilliant Dragon encountered such a strange situation. Not good. When a Mirage Sea Sword appeared again, Hierarch Brilliant Dragon instantly understood what was going on. His expression changed drastically. Chapter 2710. Boom! Bang! A great battle broke out on this spotless, snow-white battlefield. It didn't last long because Lin Feng's strength was far superior to Hierarch Brilliant Dragon's, and the Mirage Sea Sword's unique advantage completely subdued his opponent. Hierarch Brilliant Dragon's estimation wasn't wrong. An opponent like Lin Feng wasn't someone he could deal with. Running away at the first opportunity was the best choice, but he couldn't escape through space. His powerful innate ability failed for the first time, but he was already dead. The Imperial War God token is worth far more than 12 million battle merits. Lin Feng put away the Imperial War God token. In just a short moment, the token's energy had been consumed by 5%, which was a huge consumption. It must be known that he had killed his opponent in an instant without suffering any losses. Even so, Hierarch Brilliant Dragon had a perfect Chaos True Treasure on him. In addition to other top-grade Chaos True Treasures, he could exchange for 45 million battle merits. This was half the exchange value of the Imperial War God token. Without the Imperial War God token, Lin Feng knew that it would be very difficult for him to kill the cunning Hierarch Brilliant Dragon because everyone knew how powerful his innate ability was. But now, he was killed because of the Imperial War God token's blockade on the battlefield. It could be said that he had earned 45 million battle merits for free because of the Imperial War God token. And this was just the beginning. With the Imperial War God token, it shouldn't be difficult to complete 5 kills. Lin Feng was particularly satisfied with the Imperial War God token's effect. It was like a pillow given when he was sleepy. Although the Imperial War God token didn't help increase his battle strength, it was very suitable for the moment. Because he needed time, he had to reach the top floor of the Falling Star Tower as quickly as possible while the Adjudicator of Universe 7 was searching the second floor. It was a competition of time. Next, Lin Feng quickly rushed to the next target. The Imperial War God token in his hand was like a great killing machine. Coupled with Lin Feng's crushing battle strength, he was like a fish in water on the battlefield. The second floor of the Falling Star Tower. Yin Yang God's expression was ice cold as he stood at the border between the second and third floor of Meteor Fall Tower. The universe gods under his command were wantonly searching the second floor of Meteor Fall Tower, but they couldn't find any trace of the human Lin Feng. When Ilion God died, I'd already rushed to the second floor of the Falling Star Tower. After that, come to the border as quickly as possible. Unless Ilion God is the last person to be killed, the human Lin Feng must still be on the second floor of the Meteor Shower Tower. The Yin Yang God was a meticulous person, and he had been guarding the border for a long time, because he clearly knew that Lin Feng would definitely go up the Meteor Shower Tower and not leave it. If he wanted to enter the third level, he had to pass through here, but he didn't see Lin Feng appear. The search on the second floor had mostly been confirmed, but there were still no clues about Lin Feng. It was as if Lin Feng had suddenly disappeared. There was no news about him at all. Damn it! The Yin Yang God clenched his teeth, his face ashen. He was no longer certain that Lin Feng was still on the second floor of the Falling Star Tower. As the search progressed, the possibility of Lin Feng being on the third floor of the Falling Star Tower was getting higher and higher. He could enter the third floor of the Falling Star Tower, but he couldn't accept the promotion mission. Looking for Lin Feng in the huge Falling Star Tower was undoubtedly like looking for a needle in a haystack. The eternal gods under his command first had to pass the promotion mission to enter the third floor of the Falling Star Tower. It wasn't as if they could enter the third floor directly. That was quite annoying. Yinlu, quick! The Yin-Yang God could not wait any longer. Among the eternal gods, Yinlu God's progress was the fastest. He had already killed 3 people who had advanced and would soon be promoted to the third floor. The fourth one, compared to the eternal gods on the second floor, Lin Feng's efficiency on the third floor of the Falling Star Tower was far higher. He had fought a total of 9 battles and killed 4 peak ultimate gods with a success rate of nearly 50%. The 5 peak ultimate gods that he failed to kill either had extremely strong defenses or amazing body movement techniques. Although Lin Feng was confident that he could exhaust them to death, the problem was that the Imperial War God token's energy consumption would be huge. It was not worth it. The Imperial War God token's effect was not only useful on the third floor, but also on the top floor. Lin Feng would not kill those who were too troublesome. He would only pick the weak ones. Efficiency was the most important thing. Moreover, Lin Feng still had time to choose since he had not found the second 2-star falling star treasure. If the Ian gods want to enter this place, they will have to complete the same promotion quest. Although they are strong, it is not easy to kill those who have been promoted. I will definitely be faster than them. While Lin Feng was completing the promotion quest, he had also been paying attention to the light dots on the quest space map. Once the light spots increased, he would immediately complete the last kill at all costs and quickly enter the top floor. The increase in light spots meant that a new person had appeared, and it was very likely to be an eternal god. There were not many light spots on the 3rd floor of the Falling Star Tower. Boom! Lin Feng did not wait for the number of light dots to increase. Soon, in the 10th battle, he cleanly killed his opponent. The penetrative power of the Mirage Sea Sword was extremely strong. If the opponent did not have a top-grade defensive treasure, it would be very difficult to block it. In particular, the Phantom Sea Sword itself was not affected by the domain, and Lin Feng's internal universe was not weaker than any peak ultimate god. The promotion mission became extremely easy because of the Imperial War God token. Mission completed. A clear message came from the top-grade artificial intelligence. The unique mission disappeared, and Lin Feng obtained the right to enter the top floor of the Falling Star Tower. He already knew the location of the junction. Simple. Lin Feng smiled. The disappearance of the mission map was more advantageous to him. He could not see if new light spots appeared, and the eternal gods of Universe 7's Divine Inquisition could not find him through the light spots. The top floor would be the final checkpoint. The Imperial War God token has 37% energy left. Lin Feng felt heartache after consuming 2/3 of the token's energy. He did not know what the final mission of the top floor was like. If it was the same as the 2nd and 3rd floors, the Imperial War God token's energy would definitely not be enough. I wonder if there's a 2nd Imperial War God token. Lin Feng searched for traces of the 2nd Falling Star treasure map. At this time, he had already searched a small half of the 3rd floor of the Falling Star Tower. His consciousness was getting stronger and closer to the treasure. Although Lin Feng still wanted to get the Imperial War God token, he knew it was impossible. This was because this 2-star Falling Star treasure map was a fruit type and not a treasure type. However, even if it was a treasure type, the chances of obtaining the Imperial War God token were not high. I'm here. Lin Feng quickly reached the place his consciousness was guiding him to. In comparison, fruit-type treasures were more suitable for him. Although the Imperial War God token was good, Lin Feng wanted more treasures that could improve his basic abilities or combat strength. Whoosh! A bright silver light bloomed as Lin Feng's eyes shone. In a split second, meteors flashed and resonated with each other. Vigorous energy broke out of the ground. Lin Feng felt the fruit's abundance and reached out to grab it with a confident smile. Good stuff. Chapter 2711. Origin's Soul Power. It was a soul-type treasure. Lin Feng was not surprised. The Blackpool Jade was the specialty of the Meteor Continent. It was very normal for soul-type treasures to appear. What he wanted the most was the advanced version of the Blackpool Jade. It could directly increase one's soul control and increase one's combat strength. But the fruit in his hand wasn't. It was an Origin Sea fruit. Replenish the energy of the Origin Sea. Lin Feng wanted a fruit that could replenish the energy of the Origin Sea so that he could practice his self-created secret technique, Falling Star, and improve the power of his trump cards. But the fruit in his hand didn't seem to be that either. Is it another fruit that can expand the Origin Sea? If it were any other time, Lin Feng would have fancied this kind of fruit, but now was different. Even if he obtained a fruit that could expand his Source Sea, it would do almost nothing to increase his combat strength. Power Source Sacred Fruit, 20 million battle points. Do you want to exchange? A clear message came from the top-level artificial intelligence. This translucent orange fruit was quite valuable. A normal 2-star Falling Star treasure map was worth 10 million battle points. The Imperial Battle God token was worth 12 million battle points, but this small fruit was worth 20 million battle points. Looks like there are some differences between star keys and grade keys. It should be something good since it's so valuable. Lin Feng was a bit hesitant. It was impossible to exchange for it. After all, he had no use for it. But this power source sacred fruit contained a lot of origin soul power and was an origin sea fruit. The problem was that he didn't know what effect it had. It could expand the origin sea, strengthen the origin sea, or replenish the energy of the origin sea. There were too many possibilities. If it was a fruit that could replenish the origin sea, it would be a complete waste if he ate it. But if he didn't eat it, he wouldn't know what effect it had. After all, it was different from the chaos treasure. He could refine the chaos treasure, but he couldn't spit out the fruit. He had no clue. I'll use it when I need it. Lin Feng thought for a while and couldn't come up with a good idea, so he put away the power source sacred fruit. With the promotion mission completed, Lin Feng turned into a flash of lightning and rushed to the border between the third and the top floor. Treasures were just icing on the cake, not life-saving straws. For Lin Feng, his goal was very clear, and that was to enter the ancient battlefield as quickly as possible and completely break away from Universe 7's Godly Inquisition. Not long after Lin Feng stepped onto the top floor, two figures stepped onto the third floor. One of them even turned into a dot of light and appeared in the only advancement quest map. Yin Yang Grand Eternity God, Cloud Tower Eternity God. Search immediately. The Yin Yang God's complexion was ice cold. At this time, the search of the second floor of the Falling Star Tower had come to an end. All of the dots of light had been confirmed, and there was nothing suspicious about them. The human Lin Feng seemed to have suddenly disappeared. The Yin Yang God already understood in his heart that it was very likely that the human Lin Feng had immediately entered the third floor of the Falling Star Tower after killing the Yin Yang God. Yes, sir. Yin God Yunlu quickly began his search. As the trusted aide of the Yin Yang God and the strongest of the Yin Gods, his efficiency was extremely high. He was also the first to complete the second-level promotion mission. He must be on the third floor. Don't let go of anyone here. Search carefully. The Yin Yang God's gaze was cold. Time and time again, the human Lin Feng had slipped through his fingernails, and he felt somewhat embarrassed. Sir, could he have entered the top floor? Yin God Yunlu sent a message. Impossible. The Yin Yang God directly rejected it. The difficulty of the promotion mission of the third floor and the promotion mission of the second floor was very different. The Yin God powerhouses under his command were already very strong, but only Yunlu had completed the promotion mission, and this was only the promotion mission of the second floor. The human Lin Feng had entered the third floor at the same time, so it was impossible for him to complete the promotion mission of the third floor now. There simply wasn't enough time. I will go to the border between the third floor and the top floor to guard it. If I discover anything, immediately notify me. The Yin Yang God had already sealed off all the borders of the Falling Star Tower. Catching a turtle in a jar naturally had to be cautious. Yes, sir, Yin God Yunlu transmitted. The top floor of the Falling Star Tower. This was the area with the highest combat strength in the Falling Star continent. The ultimate gods who could reach this level were at least peak ultimate gods whose source power multiplier exceeded the limit of 10,000 times. Every one of them had completed the promotion mission of the second and third floors. All the ultimate gods who had reached the top floor were there for the same thing, to enter the ancient battlefield. That was a legendary area, the battlefield of the highest level in the god realm. Every ultimate god powerhouse who entered the ancient battlefield would return as a Yuan Venerate powerhouse. How attractive was that? There was a huge divide between ultimate gods and Yuan Venerates. In the Origin universe, ultimate gods were considered super powerhouses, but Yuan Venerates were existences that stood at the top of the pyramid. As long as one could break through the boundary and become a Yuan Venerate, one would be able to reach the peak Yuan Venerate level after a long period of cultivation. However, Lin Feng wasn't there to become a Yuan Venerate. Final mission, Intermediate Warrior Trial. Mission reward, qualification to enter the ancient battlefield, Universal Armor Set, Hongmeng Token. There were no requirements for the trial, and Luo Yinyang didn't know what the trial was either. However, this was the only mission on the top floor of the Falling Star Tower. As for the mission reward, Lin Feng didn't really care. He browsed through it carefully and accepted the Intermediate Warrior trial right away. He didn't have a choice in the first place. Trial 1. Survive. You will be hunted down by 6 Ultimate Universe Warriors. Survive for 100 years or kill all of them to complete the mission. Lin Feng frowned slightly. The final mission was different from what he had imagined. He had originally thought that the top floor would also be a promotion mission, but he hadn't expected it to be an Intermediate Warrior trial. Judging from the current trial missions, there was obviously more than one. No wonder the eldest senior brother had said that the final mission was very difficult. The first mission alone wasn't easy. 6 Ultimate Universe Warriors were equivalent to 6 7-star warriors. For example, Luo Yunyang had to complete the Intermediate Warrior trial before he could become an Ultimate Universe Warrior. Therefore, the mission requirement of the trial was only to survive for 100 years. But I can't. Lin Feng knew very well that he couldn't do that. Universe 7's Divine Tribunal would arrive soon, let alone 100 years. His only way was to kill all 6 Ultimate Universe Warriors. However, this was easier said than done. I have to try even if it's not easy. Once a trial mission was started, it couldn't be stopped or withdrawn. You either had to complete all the trials or die in the trials. This had been clearly stated when you accepted the trial mission. Once the trial started, it wouldn't stop. Come, let's see how strong the Ultimate Universe Warriors are. Lin Feng was at the top floor of the Meteor Shower Tower. He had already completely let go. There was a wolf in front of him and a tiger behind him. This was a battle with his back to the river. He already had no way out. After entering the ancient battlefield, he would still have to face the Ultimate Universe Warriors. Encountering them now was just an early adaptation. Kill them all. Lin Feng was full of fighting spirit. Chapter 2712. 6 Universe High-Level Warriors. They must be ultimate gods, not Yuan venerates. Lin Feng quickly judged the current situation because he was not the only one who had accepted the intermediate mission. 9 out of 10 peak ultimate gods who had stepped onto the top floor of the Starfall Tower would have accepted it. This was the only way to enter the ancient battlefield. If the opponents were 6 Yuan venerate experts, there was no need to go through the trial, as it was too difficult. The trial only requires 1 to survive, which means there are 6 peak ultimate gods, but they won't be too strong. Lin Feng was only at the level of Huang Zun at the moment, and was still some distance away from being a peak Huang Zun. However, he was more than 10 times stronger than Huang Quan. If Lin Feng was a primordial chaos ultimate god, he could even fight against 6 peak ultimate gods, let alone 6 peak ultimate gods. There's no map, which means they can suddenly appear from any place. Lin Feng knew very well that these 6 universe advanced warriors were definitely not the ones from the original universe who had leveled up. This was because all of the leveled up warriors were probably the same as himself, only mid-level warriors. There were no 7-star warriors on the Starfall continent, even if they had enough battle merits. To become a high-level warrior, one had to first complete the intermediate warrior trial and enter the ancient battlefield. In that case, I don't have to bother looking for them. I'll just wait for them to come to me. Lin Feng was calm and took things as they came. He took out the TriStar Starfall treasure map and used his consciousness to guide them. This was the only treasure map he could not miss. Since he had time now, he might as well dig it up first. Who knew if there might be a surprise? The 4 treasures he had dug up before were basically no surprises. Apart from the Imperial War God token that was barely usable, the Power Source Sacred Fruits effects were also unknown. No matter how bad the TriStar Starfall treasure map is, the quality of the treasure itself is still there. It's worth about 100 million battle merits. This value had reached the threshold of a peak Chaos Ultimate treasure. Many Yuan venerate experts in the original universe did not have a peak Chaos Ultimate treasure. Even if they did not get a treasure that was suitable for them, they could exchange it for a corresponding treasure in the original universe based on its value alone. Generally, treasures of this level could be bartered with other treasures. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. So fast. He had just started the trial mission when he felt a powerful aura approaching. The strong spatial fluctuation caused ripples in the space, causing the space around him to tremble. Space lock. The newcomer's attainments in the Tao of space were quite high. He should have reached the limit of an ordinary ultimate god. Rank 12. Lin Feng remained calm. It didn't matter if the space was sealed. He had never thought of escaping. Boom! The collision of their internal universes allowed Lin Feng to clearly understand his opponent's strength. Although he was a high-level universe warrior, his internal universe was not stronger than his, proving that he was only a peak ultimate god. It was fine as long as they were peak ultimate gods. Mirage Sea Sword. Lin Feng quickly brandished it. As his current main method of attack, Lin Feng's control of the Mirage Sea Sword was like an extension of his arm, and his control was already close to perfection. Especially after completing the advancement missions twice, he had used the Mirage Sea Sword as a method of slaughter. Widening the distance, using the advantage of the Mirage Sea Sword's speed, coupled with the Nine Hells' baleful aura and the special effects of the Mirage Sea, he was always successful. However, the opponent this time was stronger than before. The space changed rapidly like an illusion. The use of secret techniques made it difficult for the Mirage Sea Sword to move. Lin Feng's disadvantage in the Tao of space was revealed. Although the Mirage Sea Sword was strong, its attack method was always monotonous. Several attacks were neutralized by the opponent. Although it was not an understatement, it did not cause effective damage. Very powerful. Although Lin Feng had not seen the high-level universe warrior's true face, his opponent's strength made him not to be underestimated. He was stronger than any peak ultimate god in the past. Moreover, the opponent's control of space was different from the original universe's Space Knight's control. The layout was bigger and more flexible. I'm more used to the Tao of space here. Lin Feng vaguely understood the reason. The Tao of space in the original universe was obviously different from the Hongmeng Sea. Here it comes. As the Mirage Sea Sword was once again repelled, Lin Feng finally saw the high-level universe warrior's true face. A set of dark golden battle armor, a golden battle helmet, battle pants, and boots were all complete. There were also golden shoulder and elbow guards. He was fully armed with both strength and defense, but did not appear cumbersome at all. The battle armor seemed to be perfectly integrated with the body and became a part of it. It was too familiar. This is it. In Lin Feng's memory, when the black-haired giant fought with the celestial soldiers and divine generals, some of them were wearing a universe armor, while others were wearing this set. If I'm not wrong, this is the universe armor set. Lin Feng's mind raced. One of the rewards of the Intermediate Warrior Trial was the universe armor set. It should be given to peak ultimate god experts, but its defense was still unknown because the Mirage Sea Sword had not really hit the opponent. Instead, the distance had been shortened. Rip! Rip! The space blade appeared and fell like an executioner's knife, pointing directly at Lin Feng. Ear-piercing sounds were heard one after another. Lin Feng seemed to be wrapped in endless space blades and cut his body. Attack and defense in one. The strength of a peak ultimate god was fully displayed. It was not easy to escape from him and save one's life, but it was even more difficult to kill him. Secret technique, Falling Star. Lin Feng also revealed his trump card when a high-level universe warrior was completely close to him and used his killer move. Indeed, the Source Sea's energy was limited and could not be used more, but there was no other way. He might have a way to escape from him, but he could not quickly complete the trial mission if he could not kill him. Lin Feng knew very well that the longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. He must not hesitate when it was time to show his trump card. Boom! Boom! The energy in the Origin Sea surged, raging like a storm or a meteor shower. Lin Feng felt much better after using the secret technique, Falling Star again. The secret technique itself was newly created and required countless attacks and attempts to exert its full potential, just like the Mirage Sea Sword. The current Mirage Sea Sword was incomparable to the Mirage Sea Sword when it was first cultivated. Whoosh! The Mirage Sea Sword attacked again. Although Lin Feng used the Falling Star secret technique, he still held back. The Source Sea's impact consumed too much energy and could not be repeated. With the Mirage Sea Sword as the main and the Falling Star secret technique as the secondary, He could save a lot of Source C's energy if he could kill his opponent. The effect was excellent. The reason why the Mirage C sword could not exert its power was that the space was completely controlled. However, the high-level Universe Warrior's soul was shaken and his strength was greatly reduced. It was difficult to fight back, especially in close-range attacks. The Mirage C sword could show its power. Clang! The Mirage C sword made contact with the universal armor set and made a violent vibration. Chapter 27:13. Clang! The Mirage Ocean sword collided violently with the universal armor, but it didn't pierce through. Even so, the Mirage Ocean sword's powerful impact still severely injured the high-level Universal Warrior, especially when the Nine Hells Evil Spirit and the Mirage Ocean attacked together. The high-level Universal Warrior was completely hit. The Source C's impact had already injured his soul, but the Nine Hells Evil Spirit and the Mirage Ocean's attack made things worse. Although the Universal Armor had amazing defense, the high-level Universal Warrior was completely defeated. Boom! The continuous impact of the Mirage Ocean sword forcefully defeated him. The Mirage Ocean sword attack power has exceeded the limit of a peak ultimate god, but it can't pierce through the universal armor. Lin Feng was also surprised. Although he had won this battle, his opponent's strength couldn't be underestimated. If the Source C's impact hadn't been so effective, this battle would have been a tough one. It's no wonder that the universal armor is one of the 3 rewards. Lin Feng had a rough idea. The universal armor should be the standard of a 7-star warrior, and its defense had reached the Yuan Venerate level. The Mirage Ocean sword's power was still a little short of the Yuan Venerate level. This was the difference between them. If it had been the defense of an ultimate god, the Mirage Ocean sword would have already pierced through it. The remaining 5 high-level Universal Warriors are also equipped with universal armor. Lin Feng had a headache. If the Mirage Ocean sword couldn't pierce through the universal armor, it would be quite difficult to kill them, unless he could increase the power of the Mirage Ocean sword. However, he hadn't been able to use the 3rd-level battle formation yet. At present, the strongest attack was still the Mirage Ocean sword. To increase the power of the Mirage Ocean sword, he had to start from himself. It was impossible to strengthen the universe in his body in a short time. Soul control would become stronger unless he had more Blackpool Jade, but the possibility was not high. Using soul control alone to strengthen the Mirage Ocean sword wouldn't have a significant effect. Improve his origin soul power. The Mirage Ocean sword was controlled by his origin soul power. If his origin soul power increased, the power of the Mirage Ocean sword would naturally become stronger. Power Source Sacred Fruit. Lin Feng took out the precious fruit from the 3rd floor of the Meteor Shower Tower. It was worth 20 million battle credits. Based on its name alone, it seemed like it was an ability to strengthen, but he couldn't be sure. There are many types of Power Source Origin. It could strengthen one's origin soul power, strengthen one's Source C, or even strengthen one's origin soul. It was also possible that he was trying to restore the power of his origin C. Without any information, anything was possible. Furthermore, it might not necessarily be a basic enhancement. It could also be a combat enhancement. Just from the name and the energy it contained, there were too many possibilities. If he were to consume it now, there was a chance that his battle prowess would increase, but there was also a high chance that he would waste this precious fruit. Wait a little longer. Lin Feng didn't want to take the risk. He put away the fruit. I'm not in danger yet. I'll try not to use it. If I run into a universe warrior that I can't fight, I'll take it. Hurry up. Lin Feng quickly went to the place where his mind was guiding him. Only this Fallen Star treasure map had a high chance of increasing one's combat strength. If there was no threat from Universe 7's Godly Inquisition, Lin Feng would not be in a hurry and would cultivate slowly. When one's power was sufficient, a high-level universe warrior would be a piece of cake. But now, the arrow was knocked on the bow, and it had to be released. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The corpse of the high-level universe warrior he had just killed had not disappeared, and he could feel his surroundings clearly. Obviously, this was not an illusion. The high-level universe warrior in front of him was also real. It was different from what he had imagined. Storage ring. Lin Feng took the ring of the high-level universe warrior and penetrated it with his mind. There were indeed many scattered treasures, many of which did not have chaotic energy. There were all kinds of treasures. Universal armor set. His eyes fell on the golden set on the high-level universe warrior. Lin Feng wanted to take it off, but there was an energy on the universal armor set that prevented him from touching it. It seems that I can't take this. Lin Feng understood. There were rules on the battlefield. After all, there were two powerful beings here. Obviously, they would not agree to him taking the universal armor set. If it was so easy to get the universal armor set, it would not be in the trial reward. Luo E. 2. 5 million battle credits. Do you want to exchange? 1,000 graves, roar array. 5 million battle credits. Do you want to exchange? Godly Dr. Grass. 1 million battle credits. Do you want to exchange? Lin Feng placed the treasures one by one into his battle order space and appraised them one by one. However, none of them were suitable for him, at least not for the current him. This was because this universe advanced warrior was trained in the Space Knight path and specialized in close combat. The treasures on his body were also of this type. I'll exchange them all. The battle credits are not cheap. Lin Feng had no need for battle credits now, so he was not in a hurry to exchange them. In the battle just now, although the impact of the Source Sea was not the main attack, it still consumed 20% of my energy. Lin Feng was a little distressed. The impact of the Source Sea was powerful, but the stronger the effect, the more energy it would consume. He could not rely on the impact of the Source Sea alone to complete the trial mission. Besides, not every high-level universe warrior was so easily affected by the 9 hell, evil spirit, and illusory ocean. There must be some with strong souls and willpower. If it was purely the impact of the Source Sea, it would consume too much energy, especially when the opponent was a 7-star warrior. The stronger he was, the harder it would be to kill him and the more energy he would consume. I can only take one step at a time. Lin Feng did not have any good ideas. He could only hope that the only 3-star treasure map could give him a super treasure that could change his predicament. Whoosh! Lin Feng seized the time and quickly rushed to the place where his mind was pointing. Based on the experience of the previous 4 Falling Star treasure maps, the location of the Falling Star treasure map was not far, but it was not close either. He estimated that he would encounter at least 2 more high-level universe warriors before he arrived. It's impossible to do it in one go. It's too difficult if 6 high-level universe warriors besiege me. Lin Feng was very clear. After all, he was not the only one who had to complete the trial mission, but every ultimate god who went to the top floor of the Falling Star Tower. Moreover, based on the high-level universe warrior he killed just now, he could roughly estimate how strong a peak ultimate god was to pass the intermediate warrior trial. As expected, after killing the first high-level universe warrior, he continued to run. It had been a long time since he encountered a second high-level universe warrior. If it wasn't for the fact that the trial mission was still ongoing, he would have almost forgotten about the existence of high-level universe warriors. However, what would come would eventually come. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He felt that the opponent's aura was very different from the high-level universe warrior from before. It was a power that he was very familiar with, but somewhat unfamiliar. He had always wanted to know. Interesting. Chapter 2714. Lin Feng was neither too fast nor too slow. The 6 universal high-ranking warriors would naturally arrive one by one. After all, this was both his test and their mission. The second universal high-ranking warrior was obviously different from the first. Not only were their physiques and races different, but their power systems were also different. The only thing they had in common was that they were all wearing golden universal armor. This was the standard equipment of a 7-star high-ranking warrior. If Lin Feng completed the trial and became a high-ranking warrior, he would also receive a set of universal armor. The defensive power of the set was quite impressive. At least, none of Lin Feng's defensive treasures could compare to a set of universal armor. Good timing. Lin Feng could already feel his opponent's incisive attack before the Mirage Ocean Sword's attack arrived. This was a power that he was very familiar with, but he didn't know how to use it. Clang! In the consciousness space, it was as if a battle axe had struck down. The valiant and decisive attack was as tyrannical as the opponent's conviction and willpower. Source Spirit Impact. Willpower Impact. It's different from Source Spirit Impact. Lin Feng had studied Source Spirit Impact mystic techniques before. That was an attack that used Source Spirit power as the main force and the origin Source Spirit as the core. However, the energy core of the mystic technique used by the opponent wasn't the origin Source Spirit, and the energy that erupted wasn't Source Spirit power either. It was willpower energy. A very strong willpower impact that definitely reached the Yuan Venerate level, especially when combined with the Source Spirit. This was the first time Lin Feng had seen a Venerate use willpower energy. This universal high-ranking warrior was slightly stronger than the first universal high-ranking warrior. However, he had died much faster than the first universal high-ranking warrior. City of Will. With the protection of the Qin Emperor's origin source heart, Lin Feng's willpower could be said to be impenetrable. He was already heaven-defying when he was a Venerate. Lin Feng's willpower had already reached the peak of the Yuan Venerate level. Now that he had become Huang Zun, his internal universe had soared, and his willpower had become even stronger. Attacking Lin Feng with a willpower impact? Either way, it would be asking for trouble. Peng. After suffering the backlash of the City of Will, even the Source Spirit impact was enveloped by the endless Source Sea. Lin Feng's eyes sharpened as he used the Mirage Ocean Sword without hesitation and killed his opponent. It was too easy. This battle was effortless. Lin Feng's strongest point wasn't his physical body or his soul source. Instead, it was his will that had fused with the Qin Emperor's origin heart. As of now, Lin Feng's willpower had long reached the threshold of an almighty. However, Lin Feng didn't know much about this and didn't know how to use the Qin Emperor's origin heart. In the primal universe, there were no records of willpower. Only in the Hongmeng Sea would there be supremacies who cultivated this heavenly Tao. Mind cultivator. Lin Feng had found a lot of things in the storage ring of this elite warrior, including the training system of the Hongmeng Sea. There were indeed many differences between the training system of the Hongmeng Sea and that of the primal universe. In the Hongmeng Sea, the cultivation system was divided into two paths. The first was Hong, and the second was Meng. The so-called Hong was vast and majestic. It cultivated the Hongmeng law. The law of the universe and the law of heaven were all part of the Hongmeng law. The so-called Meng was the chaotic Taichu. It cultivated the body of the original body, the body of the universe, the soul of the universe, or the heart of the universe. Mind cultivators became almighties, and the heart of the universe was one of the paths. Mind cultivators use source heart force as the source of energy and their willpower as the main force. They can strengthen their physical body and unleash close combat power. They can also drive their source spirit and unleash soul attacks. As Lin Feng sped forward, he carefully studied the path of mind cultivators. In the primal universe, one either cultivated the physical body or the soul. Mind cultivators cultivated the origin heart and used source heart force as the main force. It's actually willpower. Cultivators with strong willpower are strong in close combat and can unleash 120% or even 150% of their combat power. As for source spirit attacks, they are closely related to willpower. Lin Feng knew how strong the willpower was. He had always been outstanding in this aspect, but the primal universe didn't have the path of mind cultivators. Hence, Lin Feng's use of willpower was very crude. Source heart force can't be cultivated in the primal universe. Just like the body of chaos force, if the primal universe didn't have chaos force, the body couldn't cultivate chaos force. It was the same for source spirit, but in the God World battlefield it could. Is it too late to cultivate it now? Lin Feng knew that source heart force was strong and could coexist with source spirit. The source spirit attack used by the high-level universe warrior was like this, and source heart force was the main force. Lin Feng had source heart. Source primal chaos venerables' strongest point was their source heart. They could use their willpower to forcibly take over a super black hole. Lin Feng had refined Emperor Qin's source heart. As his internal universe evolved, all aspects had improved. No, I have source heart force. After cultivating for a while, Lin Feng felt the presence of source heart force. It gushed out like spring water, and he couldn't help but laugh. Without source heart force, doesn't that mean I don't have willpower? Being unable to cultivate didn't mean he didn't have source heart force. Every life had their own willpower, and as they grew stronger, they would naturally evolve. With source heart force as the main force, Lin Feng tried to control the Mirage Sea Sword. The sudden change in energy caused the Mirage Sea Sword to lose control, but Lin Feng quickly adapted. It wasn't difficult. His own source heart force wasn't strong, and he still used source spirit as the main force. However, with the addition of Emperor Qin's source heart, it was like a mobile army. It was like an army occupying a moving fortress. Even though Lin Feng Yuan did not have a lot of heart energy, nor did he have any special techniques to use it, he could still use the strength of the Qin Emperor's origin heart to raise the might of the Mirage Sea Sword to a whole new level. So, Lin Feng's control became smoother and smoother. The Mirage Sea Sword's attack speed increased by 50%, and so did its power. It wasn't because of source heart force, but because of Emperor Qin's source heart. Emperor Qin's source heart is a Hongmeng source treasure. Every part of it is comparable to a Chaos Cardinal treasure. At that moment, Lin Feng knew that it was true. Emperor Qin's source heart had to be driven by source heart force. Although he had refined it before, he hadn't been able to use it. It was like a cardinal treasure that couldn't be controlled with source heart force. The ancient battlefield. Lin Feng was now even more interested in the ancient battlefield. The treasures he had just obtained were obviously from the ancient battlefield. After entering, he would be able to obtain even more. No wonder all the godly venerable experts are so eager to enter the ancient battlefield. Lin Feng controlled the Mirage Sea Sword more and more smoothly. It was indeed difficult to improve source heart force, but it was more than enough to drive Emperor Qin's source heart. Gallop, gallop. Lin Feng approached the location of the 3-star Fallen Star treasure map. The third one. Once again, he felt the aura of a universe high-level warrior. This time, Lin Feng was excited because he wanted to know how strong the Mirage Sea Sword would be if it was fully unleashed. Chapter 27:15. The Time Deity. This time, the high-level universe warrior was different from the previous two. The time-sky law's control was like a shackle that controlled everything. It had its own strengths, and the space deity's control of heavenly laws was rather strong. During the battle with the first space deity, Lin Feng's initial use of the Mirage Ocean Sword had been restricted, and he hadn't been able to attack his opponent. However, it was different this time. Space was affected by the change in position, while time was affected by the change in speed. Qi. The Mirage Ocean Sword's full power was enhanced by the power of the Qin Emperor's origin heart. Although the origin heart force was negligible, its speed and power had increased by 50%. 50% wasn't much, but it was decisive in the current situation. It had reached the threshold of a Yuan Venerate. Even though its speed had been reduced, the Mirage Ocean Sword still penetrated the shackles of time and blasted the high-level universe warrior's golden armor. Although it still couldn't break the golden armor, the 50% increase in power was real. Crack! Cracks appeared on the universe armor, and the Nine Hells' baleful qi surged into the high-level universe warrior's source sea. The Qin Emperor's origin heart was like a high and mighty emperor, causing the Nine Hells' baleful qi's power to be enhanced to the extreme. It also contained an insignificant amount of origin heart force. A trace of it was enough to cause a qualitative change. Originally, the Nine Hells' baleful qi was supporting the Mirage Ocean. Now, the Mirage Ocean was supporting the Nine Hells' baleful qi. Clang! The time deity was severely injured. He was doomed to be defeated in a head-on confrontation. Lin Feng didn't give him any chance to escape. The Imperial War God ordered the battlefield to spread out, and the Mirage Ocean Sword fell like an executioner's knife. The third one. Lin Feng had displayed his strength not long after the intermediate warrior trial had started. He had enough strength to enter the ancient battlefield. The Qin Emperor's origin heart is really strong. This battle allowed Lin Feng to feel the tyrannical power of the Qin Emperor's origin heart. It was worthy of being the core component of Homing's source item. Even though it was only the tip of the iceberg, it was already extremely shocking. Although the power of the Mirage Ocean Sword hadn't undergone a metamorphosis, it had risen by a level. The remaining 3 high-level universe warriors shouldn't be able to use the Source Sea's energy, right? Lin Feng thought. However, things often went against one's wishes. It was only the 4th high-level universal warrior, but Lin Feng had no choice but to reveal his trump card and use the Falling Star secret technique to kill him. That was a high-level universal warrior who cultivated his physical body. His abundant origin power condensed on his universal armor, which made his defense even stronger. Although the Mirage Sea Sword's power had been strengthened, it was unable to break through the opponent's defense. Lin Feng had no choice but to use the Falling Star secret technique. With the special effects and assistance of the Qin Emperor's origin heart, even the impact of the Origin Sea had become much stronger. The Falling Star secret technique displayed an astonishing effect, instantly killing high-ranking universe warriors. Unfortunately, the Origin Sea's charge was always a self-inflicted loss. This was especially true for high-ranking universe warriors who were extremely close to becoming Yuan Venerate powerhouses. It was too difficult to kill them with a soul attack. 30% of the Origin Sea's energy is left. Lin Feng now felt the pressure. Even the cleverest housewife couldn't cook without rice. No matter how strong the Falling Star secret technique was, it was useless without the support of the Origin Sea's energy. Hopefully, I won't run into these kinds of advanced universe warriors again. The Mirage Sea Sword was most afraid of opponents with astonishing defense. No matter how fast it was or how ingenious its attacks were, it would be useless if it couldn't break through the opponent's defense. The Mirage Sea Sword's favorite opponent was the one-thought Divine Venerate. Clang! Ding! In the void, the 2 flying swords collided continuously. However, the other blue flying sword was quickly defeated by the Mirage Sea Sword. Controlling an object to attack wasn't just a competition of technique and soul control, but also the power of the object itself. The Mirage Sea Sword was obviously stronger. TSK. Very soon, the Mirage Sea Sword killed its opponent and even pierced through his universal armor. Lin Feng perfectly blocked the opponent's Origin Sea attack before he died. Nearly 10% of my Origin Sea's energy is consumed even after he died. Lin Feng was helpless. The one-thought Divine Venerate's final counterattack was the most troublesome for any close combat cultivator. The power of the Origin Sea was too great. Even though Lin Feng's Origin Sea was vast, he still had to consume 10% of its energy to block it. The already barren Origin Sea's energy was even worse. However, this battle was still carefree and unrestrained. The opponent's defense was weak. Therefore, the defense of a universal armor set varies from person to person. If it's a Divine Venerate who cultivates the physical body, the defense of the universal armor set will be strong. If it's a Divine Venerate who cultivates the soul, the defense of the universal armor set will be relatively weak. Each of the 5 advanced universe warriors he killed had a different set of universal armor with different defensive capabilities. After the transformation, the Fantasy Ocean Sword could basically break through the defense of a universe armor set. Just like one-thought Godly Knight, it could shatter it directly. However, the Fantasy Ocean Sword was unable to break through the defense of the high-level universe warrior who had previously trained his physical body origin energy. This was the difference. My physical body is strong, so the power of the universal armor set will be stronger. Lin Feng didn't think about the universal armor set. This was the reward of the intermediate warrior trial. He couldn't get it yet. On the other hand, the 3-star Fallen Star treasure map was getting closer and closer. The calling was especially strong. Soon, as Lin Feng got closer, he entered the storage ring of the advanced universal warrior to search for treasures. Unlike the Time Divine Venerate and the Vajra Divine Venerate, the One Thought Divine Venerate's treasures were more suitable for him. This was because they also used the Origin Sea Sword. Huh. Lin Feng could not help but smile as he galloped. I knew it. There must be something. From the One Thought Divine Venerate's storage ring, Lin Feng found many useful treasures, including treasures to strengthen one's willpower, restore the Origin Sea, and expand the Source Sea. The most important one was undoubtedly a fruit to restore the Source Sea's energy. There must be a similar battle order space on the ancient battlefield. Those who fight there are all experts above the peak ultimate god level. They consume the Source Sea's energy. One Thought Divine Venerate will have treasures to restore the Source Sea's energy. Lin Feng swallowed the fruit directly. In an instant, streams of pure energy surged into the Source Sea. Gurgle, gurgle, like a large river converging into the sea, the originally barren Source Sea became much more full in an instant. The Source Sea's energy flowed in continuously. The Source Sea was full. One fruit restored nearly 50% of the Source Sea's energy. It should be noted that Lin Feng's Source Sea was not small. Although it was only Huang Zun's, it was better than the One Thought Divine Venerate's Source Sea. There's still 2 left. It's enough. 2 fruits were equivalent to fully replenishing the Source Sea's energy. However, Lin Feng also knew that such fruits were very precious. Otherwise, One Thought Divine Venerate would not only have 3. Extreme misfortune turned into bliss. This battle had cured Lin Feng's chronic illness. Who says blessings never come in pairs? Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he galloped. As the energy-replenishing fruit from the Source Sea entered his stomach, he found a 3-star fallen star treasure map under the guidance of his mind. Chapter 27:16. The Golden Key and the 3 Stars Fallen Star Treasure Map. This was extremely rare in the Supreme God World battlefield. If one wanted to use the Fallen Star Treasure Map to form the 3 Stars Fallen Star Treasure Map, unless one was extremely lucky. Normally, one could only rely on the Golden Key. However, obtaining the Golden Key was easier said than done. One could either complete an extremely rare and difficult mission or kill a treasure thief. However, the probability of the treasure thief having the Golden Key in his or her 100 treasure pouch was only 30% to 50%. Moreover, finding the treasure thief was very difficult, and killing him was even harder than ascending to the heavens. Lin Feng completed it. Therefore, he obtained the 3 Stars Fallen Star treasure map. No matter what kind of treasure it was the highest level treasure in the Supreme God World battlefield. Any one of them was worth more than 100 million battle merits. Whoosh! Golden light overflowed, reflecting the 3 Stars Fallen Star treasure map. Lin Feng was looking forward to it. As the meteors fell, the treasure on the ground and the treasure map reflected each other, as if there was a calling connection between them. Bang! The treasure that broke out of the ground was suffused with starlight. Just like the fallen star continent, it was as if the stars in the sky had condensed into one, forming a spherical object. However, it only looked spherical. Lin Feng directly took it in his hand. The light of the spherical object instantly shone in. Every surface seemed to be condensed from bright stars. This treasure was densely packed with hundreds of millions of tiny stars. It was not a true sphere, but it looked very similar to one. What was important was not its shape, but the energy it contained. What a powerful soul source energy. Lin Feng wasn't surprised. The most outstanding treasures in the Fallen Star Continent were soul-related treasures. As the top treasure in the Fallen Star Continent, the possibility of this star sphere being a soul-related treasure was very high. Although he didn't need a soul source treasure, he didn't have the time to do it now. It would be great if it was a fruit that could directly strengthen my battle strength. What Lin Feng needed the most right now wasn't a treasure like the Chaos Treasure. For example, the Qin Emperor's Origin Heart was very strong. If he completely refined it, how much could it do? No matter how good a treasure was, it still needed time to control and cultivate. Fallen Star Soul, 250 million battle merits. Do you want to exchange? A clear notification appeared in the battle order space. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. Although he couldn't use this source soul treasure for the time being, it was still extremely valuable. 250 million battle achievements. The average value of a 3-star Fallen Star treasure was around 100 million battle credits. This Fallen Star soul obviously far exceeded that. Just as he had guessed, it was indeed related to the Fallen Star continent. This doesn't look like a combat treasure. Could it be a cultivation treasure? Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. No matter how he looked at it, it didn't seem to be an object control treasure, an illusion treasure, or a treasure used to attack one's origin spirit. It was more likely to be a special treasure or a cultivation treasure. If that was the case, it wouldn't be too bad. Lin Feng was very fond of cultivation treasures because they could increase his cultivation speed. A cultivation treasure worth 250 million battle points would not be bad. It might be an advanced version of the Blackpool Jade, a soul source treasure that increases one's soul control, or an Origin C treasure that can greatly expand one's Origin C. Lin Feng thought to himself. Since it wasn't a fruit-type treasure, there was no question of whether it would be wasteful or not. He could just refine it directly. He had the Qin Emperor's Origin Heart and the all-encompassing ability, so he could refine it on his own. Furthermore, he was an Origin Source Soul and had abundant Origin C energy, so refining it would be twice the result with half the effort. It's comparable to a peak chaotic treasure. Lin Feng had obtained a rather impressive treasure. Although the eldest senior brother had also given him a peak chaotic treasure, that was a close combat treasure and not suitable for the current situation. It was still unknown whether a soul-type treasure, a pinnacle chaos true treasure, existed in the Origin universe. There were too few one-thought ultimate venerates in the original universe, and there was only one-thought Yuan venerate. It would take a lot of time. I probably won't be able to use it before the intermediate warrior trial. Lin Feng estimated the time. He didn't think about how much the Fallen Star Soul could help him. It didn't matter if he couldn't use it now. He should be able to use it when he entered the ancient battlefield. At that time, it would definitely be the icing on the cake and give him a helping hand. Soon, Lin Feng had completed the excavation of the 3-star Fallen Star treasure map. All the treasures of the Fallen Star Tower had been excavated and he had gained a lot. The Imperial Battle God token, the Power Source Sacred Fruit, and the Fallen Star Soul were all considered useful treasures. However, they didn't change the current situation much. That's fine. Lin Feng wasn't greedy. He patiently waited for the arrival of the last universe's high-level warrior. As long as he killed the last one, he would complete the first checkpoint of the intermediate warrior trial. I have to complete it before the powerhouses of Universe 7's divine tribunal arrive. Lin Feng was stunned. On the 3rd floor of the Fallen Star Tower. At this time, the advancement mission light spots had increased again. In addition to Ian God Yunlu, Ian God He-Mi, and Ian God Ka-Pipa had completed the advancement mission on the 2nd floor of the Fallen Star Tower and entered the 3rd floor. However, they still didn't gain anything. Impossible. Ian God Yin Yang's face was ashen and his eyes were burning. The human Lin Feng must be on the 3rd floor. He can't be anywhere else. How can we not find him? My lord, this subordinate has confirmed that all the reverends who have activated the advancement mission have no targets similar to the human Lin Feng. Ian God Yunlo's voice carried a trace of doubt. As Ian God Yin Yang's trusted aide, he also wanted to complete the mission. However, from the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor, it was as if the human Lin Feng had suddenly disappeared. There was no trace of him at all. Could it be that the human Lin Feng hasn't activated the advancement mission? Ian God Yunlu thought of a possibility. They were currently searching for reverends who had activated the advancement mission. Falling Star Tower was so big that it was impossible to search for all the reverends in a short period of time. Ian God Yin Yang pursed his lips, his face ashen. He knew that this was a possibility, but what was the human Lin Feng's purpose in doing this? Was he hiding in the Fallen Star Tower and not coming out? Although the Fallen Star Tower was big, as long as they continued searching, even if the advancement mission hadn't been activated, they could still find him. If Lin Feng did this, he would only be cutting off his own path of survival. No, he wouldn't be so stupid. Ian God Yin Yang rejected this idea. How could a human who dared to go against Universe 7's godly inquisition not think of this? Then, if it wasn't this possibility, where had the human Lin Feng gone? It's impossible for him to complete the advancement mission on the 3rd floor faster than us on the 2nd floor, right? Ian God Yinlu mocked himself. Although the speaker didn't mean it, the speaker did. Ian God Yin Yang's eyes suddenly lit up and his breathing quickened. It was possible. Why was it impossible? That was the venerable primal chaos origin that even the will of the heavenly Tao feared. How could he be compared with the ordinary Huang Zun? Other Huang Zun couldn't do it, but that didn't mean primal chaos origin Huang Zun couldn't. He might have underestimated the human Lin Feng too much. If that's the case, then it's too scary. Ian God Yin Yang's heart was filled with dread. Such a powerhouse, once he grew up, was likely to turn the entire godly inquisition upside down in the future. Shua. His figure flashed as Ian God Yin Yang stepped on the top floor of the Fallen Star Tower, his killing intent completely exposed. He absolutely couldn't let the human Lin Feng live. Chapter 2717. The Last Advanced Warrior of the Universe. Chi. The powerful attack of the Fantasy Sea Sword didn't give the opponent any chance. Lin Feng's strength was fully revealed at this moment. Heart Force. The use of the Qin Emperor's Heart Force had made him one of the strongest in the universe. Even a 7-star advanced warrior would be a piece of cake for Lin Feng. Without the threat of the Inquisition number 7, Lin Feng would have completed the intermediate warrior trial and stepped into the ancient battlefield. But now he had to hurry. Trial 1, complete. Trial 2, go to the Starfall realm and experience a universe battle. Whoosh! With the change of the final mission, Lin Feng quickly found a flickering star on the map. It was located in the center of the top floor, which seemed to be the entrance to the ancient battlefield. Starfall Realm, Universe Battle. Lin Feng thought to himself. He didn't slow down at all. If he guessed correctly, the intermediate warrior trial should be ending soon. The purpose of the universe battle was probably to let him adapt to the atmosphere of the ancient battlefield or to test the teamwork of the team. The ancient battlefield should have a universe battle similar to the blood battle of the 4 sides. Lin Feng understood. Otherwise, there wouldn't be 2 paths in the Supreme God World battlefield. He had chosen the path of solo travel, but the blood battle of the 4 sides also existed. No matter what, he had to complete it first. As long as he could enter the ancient battlefield, he would be free. It was already in the Hongmeng Sea and beyond the reach of the Inquisition number 7. Once he entered the ancient battlefield, the imminent danger would be eliminated. On the top floor of the Starfall Tower, ancient battlefield, Yin Yang God stepped into the familiar area and glanced around. He had completed the promotion mission and the final mission before. Although it wasn't on the Starfall continent, it was exactly the same in the other Supreme God World battlefields. Although there were 10 battlefields with different characteristics on each continent, they all led to the ancient battlefield. The purpose of the Supreme God World battlefield was to challenge the elite warriors of the universe. There are 3 steps in the final mission. The first step is the most difficult and tedious. No matter how powerful Lin Feng is and how fast he completes the promotion mission, he can't kill 6 advanced warriors of the universe in a short time. But with the strength he has shown so far, it shouldn't be a problem for him to pass. The Yin Yang God was now 80% certain. The human Lin Feng must be on the top floor of the Meteor Shower Tower because he had already searched the entire Meteor Shower Tower and did not see the human Lin Feng leave. Then, the only possibility left was that he was here. Unless the human Lin Feng did not want to enter the ancient battlefield. But that way, he would have nowhere to hide. The second and third steps are in the Starfall Realm, which is the entrance to the ancient battlefield. The Yin Yang God knew the final quest like the back of his hand. He knew exactly how to play this game of cat and mouse. If you want to escape, I'll let you escape. You will have to come back eventually unless you don't enter the ancient battlefield. I'll wait for you at the Starfall domain. The Yin Yang God's expression was steely. He was astute and had absolute confidence in his own strength. Even without the bestowment of the heavenly path, he was still a peak Yuan venerate. If he couldn't even deal with a little guy like Huang Zun, wouldn't he be a laughingstock? The monk could run, but the temple couldn't. As long as Lin Feng completed the final quest, he would definitely return to the Starfall realm. After all, the second and third steps were carried out at the Starfall realm. The Chaos Ultimate Treasure in his hand glowed with a black and white light. This was the Yin-Yang God's peak Chaos Ultimate Treasure, the Royal Divine Chinquanlock. It had accompanied him on many expeditions and was a combination of control and defense. The Yin-Yang God hadn't suffered any injuries during the battle of the Taichung deity realm because of this ultimate treasure. Little guy, I'll wait for you. The Yin-Yang God smiled disdainfully. Bang! Bang! Lin Feng's heartbeat sped up as he galloped. He had a faint, uneasy feeling, as if a crisis was about to descend. Lin Feng wasn't unfamiliar with this feeling. He would feel it every time he was in extreme danger. Was it the Intermediate Warrior trial mission? No, it definitely wasn't. Lin Feng knew very well that it wouldn't be difficult for him to complete the Intermediate Warrior trial mission given his current strength. The only thing that could put his life in danger was the divine tribunal of Cosmos 7. Has the God of Eternity come? Lin Feng was very calm. The more dangerous it was, the calmer he had to be. He wouldn't be afraid, no matter how many eternal gods the divine tribunal of Cosmos 7 sent. Given his current strength, he could instantly kill an eternal god that wasn't bestowed by the Sky Great Path. However, the difference between an eternal god and the eternal god was too big. One was a godly venerate, while the other was a Yuan venerate. Lin Feng might still have the strength to fight if his opponent was a low-level Yuan venerate. However, if his opponent was a peak Yuan venerate, they wouldn't be on the same level. No matter how confident Lin Feng was, he knew that he wouldn't be able to match a peak Yuan venerate. Even escaping was an extravagant hope. Back then, Huang Quan had been able to escape from the encirclement of the eternal god because he had already become a godly venerate. At least in the internal universe, a godly venerate origin chaos wasn't inferior to a peak Yuan venerate. However, the current Lin Feng was only Huang Zun. Furthermore, he had just become Huang Zun not long ago. It will be troublesome if he's guarding outside the falling star border. Lin Feng pursed his lips tightly. He was indeed worried. The falling star border was a place that one had to pass through in order to complete a trial mission. It was very likely that the eternal god knew about it. If it were him, he would definitely wait outside the falling star border. After all, he had no other way out now. If he wanted to leave the falling star tower, he had to return to the first floor. At this moment, the connecting points of the various floors of the falling star tower had to be guarded by Cosmos 7's divine tribunal of Cosmos 7. As long as he appeared, he would definitely be exposed. The only way out was the ancient battlefield. Quick! I have to be quick. Lin Feng's eyes were like lightning as he sped up. He quickly completed his advancement mission, including the Intermediate Warrior trial. He quickly passed through a checkpoint just to make up for the time difference. He hoped to be the first to step into the ancient battlefield before the divine tribunal of Cosmos 7 discovered him. He was getting closer and closer to the location on the map. However, the feeling of uneasiness was getting worse. The Qin Emperor's origin heart firmly guarded his heart. Lin Feng's origin C surged violently. He was completely focused, and his aura sensed every area around him. A hazy half-moon-shaped light appeared in the distance. The falling star border. It perfectly coincided with the location on the map in the battle order space. However, at that moment, Lin Feng also felt the appearance of a tyrannical aura. It was like an insurmountable mountain lying in front of him. This aura was very unfamiliar, but very powerful. It was indeed inferior compared to the eldest senior brother and the second senior brother. However, it was slightly stronger than the Yuan Venerate E that he was familiar with. Eternal God. Although Lin Feng was mentally prepared, he still looked tense, and his heart sank to the bottom when he really met the Eternal God. Just as he had guessed, the other party was already waiting for him in the falling star border. This was an unsolvable deadlock. Chapter 2718. Human Lin Feng. The yin-yang god's senses weren't inferior to Lin Feng's. They both sensed each other's presence at almost the same time. Lin Feng didn't run, and the yin-yang god didn't chase after him. After all, Lin Feng couldn't escape, and the yin-yang god didn't care if Lin Feng escaped. He was a majestic peak Yuan venerate. It would be a huge joke if Huang Zun escaped right under his nose. The yin-yang god's internal universe suppressed Lin Feng's internal universe. Even though it wasn't bestowed by the Sky Great Path, the yin-yang god's internal universe was still stronger than Lin Feng's. Even if his internal universe wasn't perfect, at least the level of his internal universe had reached the current limit. In this aspect, Lin Feng was far inferior. Black and white lights flickered on his hands like jumping fairies. The yin-yang god was confident that he could capture Lin Feng if he made any strange movements. The yin-yang god was confident that he could capture Lin Feng. The only difference was whether he was alive or dead. Oh, the yin-yang god's eyes lit up, and he sneered. Still want to resist stubbornly? You have guts. The yin-yang god wasn't surprised when he sensed the power fluctuations of Lin Feng's aura. It would be a joke if a cultivator who dared to go against the Sky Great Path ran and begged for mercy. However, this was even more interesting. When a cat wanted to catch a mouse, it wanted to catch it alive, not dead. Lock. The God Royal Universe lock was directly brought out. The yin-yang god wouldn't give Lin Feng any chances because he was well aware that this little sovereign in front of him couldn't be underestimated. 2 of his cosmos gods had already been killed. Furthermore, he had completed his advancement mission so quickly. If he wasn't wrong, this human Lin Feng was even more terrifying than Huang Quan. Huang Zun already had a fighting strength close to a Yuan venerate. The god ruling heaven and earth lock split into 2, one black and one white. The yin and yang heaven and earth chi flowed through the void. The rays of light condensed into a solid image, turning into a giant lock with distinct heaven and earth. The entire space was locked down. Chi. The Mirage Sea Sword pierced through the air, but it wasn't a controlled attack. Lin Feng stepped on the Mirage Sea Sword and flew with a surprised look in his eyes. The yin-yang god also didn't understand. According to the intelligence of his subordinate god, the human Lin Feng had changed his name to Nye Emo on the Meteor Fall continent. His method of attack was to control objects. What was he doing? Controlling objects to attack? Or was it close combat? Clang! A translucent black and white sword appeared in his hand. It contained the aura of yin and yang. Although it couldn't compare to the God Royal Universe lock, it was still a perfect Chaos Supreme treasure. Its utilization of treasures had reached the pinnacle. The yin-yang god's strength was unfathomable. Whether it was close range or long range, he didn't care, because he had no weaknesses. Yin-yang god naturally knew that the human Lin Feng's close combat strength was quite tyrannical. However, he would only be stronger. Moreover, with the complete suppression of his internal universe, he had an even greater advantage in close combat, such as the complete restriction of his domain. Chi. Whoosh. Streaks of sword energy crisscrossed as the yin-yang god sword was executed. Using offense as defense, it was pure and perfect. His comprehension of the heavenly Tao in sword arts surpassed Lin Feng's. In the yin-yang god's eyes, Lin Feng wasn't worth mentioning. Killing an yin god? What did that count for? No matter how strong Huang Zun was, he was still just Huang Zun. Oh, as the flying sword and Lin Feng approached, the yin-yang god's eyebrows furrowed together. With the suppression of his inner universe, he could clearly feel Lin Feng's movements. Lin Feng's source soul force was abnormally strong, causing his spiritual sea to shake again and again. This bastard. The yin-yang god already knew what Lin Feng wanted to do. Origin Soul Impact. Amir Huang Zun had actually transformed his origin soul. Origin Primal Chaos Venerable was truly heaven-defying. Many one thought Huang Zun couldn't advance to a one thought Divine Venerable because they couldn't transform their origin soul. In the entire primal universe, those with origin souls could be counted on one hand. It was even more impossible for close combat experts to have an origin soul, so they naturally didn't have an origin C. Boom! Just as Yin Yang God was ready, a massive wave of energy surged into his body. Although Yin Yang God's internal universe was stronger than his opponent's, the boundless energy of the origin C still made Yin Yang God's face turn cold and solemn. Origin C impact. Moreover, Feng Yuan's origin C was quite strong. It even contains a will impact. The Yin Yang God was experienced and knowledgeable. Moreover, he came from his seventh universe's divine inquisition, so he knew that the moment the will impact and origin heart force came into contact, his heart was shaken. In fact, he was very annoyed by such an attack. Even if he could block it, his soul would more or less suffer some damage. If he also had an origin C, with the strength of his internal universe and soul defense treasures, he wouldn't have cared about Lin Feng's origin C impact. But now it was very troublesome. Get lost! The Yin Yang God roared like a lion, vainly trying to disperse the Nine Hells' baleful qi. However, the Nine Hells' baleful qi refused to disperse. There seemed to be a mysterious force supporting it that kept affecting the Yin Yang God. On top of that, the Nine Hells' baleful qi also contained an illusion, which was equivalent to three forces attacking from three sides. No wonder the Yin God died at his hands. The Yin Yang God completely understood now. The human Lin Feng's strength was stronger than he had imagined. Not only was he close to the Yuan Venerate, but he had also reached the level of an initial Yuan Venerate. In particular, the Origin C impact itself had great power. For cultivators without an Origin C, its power would be strengthened several times. Secret technique, Falling Star. Lin Feng went all out. He knew that there was only one possibility. The Mirage Sea Sword attack was unnecessary. The Mirage Sea Sword was bound to not be able to display any power due to the pressure of his internal universe. However, even if his internal universe was equal, Lin Feng knew that the Mirage Sea Sword wouldn't be able to hurt the Yin God. The difference in strength was too great. The only way to injure his opponent was to use the Origin C impact that ignored the difference in strength. This was Lin Feng's trump card. The power of the Origin C impact, strengthened by the Qin Emperor's Origin C force, was indeed astonishing. Lin Feng wasn't confident against other Yuan Venerates with Origin Souls and Origin Cs. However, he knew that the Yin God of Universe 7's divine tribunal only had a spiritual C. This was because the soul heavenly Tao in the original universe was missing. It was too difficult to form an Origin Soul and Origin C. Whoosh, whoosh, the energy of the Origin C dropped sharply, and the internal universe was suppressed. This caused the power of Lin Feng's Origin C impact to drop by at least 30%. After all, the battlefield of the Origin C impact was within the opponent's body. The consumption was abnormally huge. Crack! Lin Feng crushed the Origin C energy fruit in his mouth and quickly recovered the energy of his Origin C. He had no other choice. His opponent's soul defense was stronger than he had expected. If he wanted to survive, the Origin C impact had to display its power. He was too far away from a peak Yuan Venerate in terms of physical attack or close combat. This won't do. Lin Feng had a solemn expression. Although the Origin C energy fruit could recover the energy of his Origin C, it was too slow. The recovery speed couldn't keep up with the consumption. Once the energy was exhausted, the falling star impact would fail and he would die. In battle, recovery speed was more important than recovery effect. That's the only way. Lin Feng pursed his lips and made a judgment. Chapter 2719. Whoosh! The fruit that appeared in Lin Feng's hand was none other than the power source sacred fruit that originated from the two-star fallen star treasure map. It was a fruit that even Lin Feng himself didn't know the effects of. The only thing he was sure of was that it was an Origin soul fruit. In the current situation, Lin Feng was at a complete disadvantage. He had to do everything he could. Although he did have a way out, the death exemption golden medallion given by second senior brother, if he really encountered an unsolvable situation in the battlefield of the God world, he could be saved by shouting, killing Heart Guanyin. With the strength of an almighty, it was naturally easy to save Lin Feng. They could even help Lin Feng send him to the ancient battlefield. But Lin Feng didn't want to do that unless he had no other choice. He also knew that his second senior brother was a little embarrassed when he mentioned the killing Heart Guanyin. There seemed to be something between the two. It was easy to get money, but hard to return a favor. Lin Feng didn't want his second senior brother to owe him a favor. I'll have to rely on it. Lin Feng swallowed the power source sacred fruit. The moment he refined it, he knew its effects. Abundant soul source strength poured into the origin sea, as if a layer of boiling oil had been poured onto a blazing flame. In an instant, a raging inferno was set ablaze as the endless soul source strength poured into the origin sea, causing it to erupt like a volcano. Wrong. Completely wrong. Lin Feng had guessed that the power source sacred fruit could strengthen the origin sea, or replenish the origin sea's energy. This wasn't a basic fruit, but a combat-type fruit. A fruit of heaven and earth that could increase one's combat power. An origin soul fruit that could strengthen the origin sea's energy. Timely rain. Lin Feng felt an endless stream of energy emerge from the origin sea. It was as if a dry sea had been replenished. The instant eruption of origin soul power pushed the power of falling star to the extreme. Crack. Impossible. Yin-Yang God's expression changed. His opponent's origin soul force had suddenly erupted, and it had erupted under the suppression of his internal universe. His strength had suddenly increased, and it had directly shattered his soul defensive treasure. At this moment, Yin-Yang God's consciousness was directly annihilated by the origin soul power and fiercely resisted. Boom, boom, boom. The raging waves were boundless and vast. Although the Yin-Yang God universe's inner universe held the absolute advantage, Lin Feng's origin soul energy impact was far too powerful. Moreover, with the suppression of the energy level, it directly reversed the suppression of the inner universe. The Yin-Yang God didn't expect this at all, and a sinister expression appeared on his face. The excruciating pain in his soul caused his body to tremble. The great Yin God, a peak Yuan venerate powerhouse, was actually battered and exhausted at this moment. His opponent's resolute origin sea attacks were like the charge of a death warrior. Wave after wave of attacks, he wouldn't stop until he achieved his goal. This was a battle of wills, a battle of hearts. The Yin-Yang God could feel the human Lin Feng's determination to fight to the death. The hysterical attacks of the source, C, could cause massive damage to him or even permanent wounds. Bastard. The Yin-Yang God gnashed his teeth, his will already wavering. He really wanted to take Lin Feng's life and complete his mission. But if he had to sacrifice his cultivation path to complete this mission, the Yin-Yang God was unwilling. He wanted to become one of the three main gods of the universe. And he wanted to become an almighty even more. Pum. The universe within his body exploded as the Yin-Yang God retreated furiously. In the face of Lin Feng's suicidal origin sea attacks, the Yin-Yang God finally chose to retreat. He removed the seal of the Spirit Royal Universe lock, and the sealed space returned to its original state. The radiance of the falling star mirror in front of Lin Feng was extremely attractive. Whoosh! Lin Feng's figure fled and disappeared into the falling star mirror. Phew! Phew! The Yin-Yang God panted heavily. His face was ashen and his eyes were burning with rage. The Spirit Royal Universe lock in his hand was trembling and ringing continuously. Just a little bit more. He had almost been able to kill Lin Feng and complete his mission. However, the Yin-Yang God didn't want to gamble. He wanted to gamble his future just to complete this mission. It could be said that he had suffered a double loss in this battle. Not only had he lost a soul defensive ultimate treasure, but his spiritual sea and soul had also suffered a lot of damage. Source Sea attack. The Yin-Yang God's eyes widened. What he hated the most were Source Sea attacks and Source Soul attacks. Even if he could kill his opponent, he would suffer great damage. He had no choice but to give up on the battle just now. He's not much better off. The Yin-Yang God knew that Lin Feng's sudden eruption of origin sea strength was definitely due to him using a bloodline or secret technique similar to berserk transformation. Otherwise, how could his strength suddenly increase? Just because he released the human Lin Feng now didn't mean that he couldn't catch him later. In the battle just now, everyone was evenly matched. No one had come out on top. But he was different from Lin Feng. He came from Universe 7's Divine Inquisition and had a large number of treasures. As long as he had enough time, he could recover. As for a soul defensive treasure, he could apply for an even better one. Falling Star Mirror, I'll wait for you to come out. The Yin-Yang God had completed the final mission and knew that the Falling Star Mirror wasn't the end. It was only the second step of the Intermediate Warrior trial. There was still the final third step. If he wanted to enter the ancient battlefield, Lin Feng would inevitably come out of the Falling Star Mirror. At that time, it would be his death. You've run out of ideas. Let's see what tricks you have up your sleeves next time. After suffering this loss, the Yin-Yang God had a much deeper understanding of Lin Feng. Although the impact of the Origin Sea was terrifying, it wasn't impossible to defend against it. This was also why the Yin-Yang God had ultimately chosen to give up on this competition and allow Lin Feng to escape. He had only temporarily released Lin Feng. It wouldn't be long before Lin Feng came out of the Starfall realm. Because this was the final mission, Lin Feng would definitely come out. Therefore, the monk could run away, but the temple couldn't. He wasn't worried that Lin Feng would run away. This time, he had figured out Lin Feng's background. The next time they crossed swords, he would be fully prepared and perfectly kill Lin Feng. It'll take quite a bit of time to complete the mission for the Starfall Mirror. I'll go back and apply for a peak soul defensive precious treasure. The Yin-Yang God looked at the Starfall Mirror, then staggered out of the Starfall Tower. In this battle, his soul and sea of consciousness had indeed suffered heavy injuries. Damn it, Falling Star Realm. I'm safe. Lin Feng's current situation wasn't much better than the Yin-Yang Gods. Although the Power Source Sacred Fruit didn't have any side effects, the impact of the Origin Sea consumed a large amount of Origin Sea energy. If it weren't for the 3 Origin Sea energy replenishing fruits, Lin Feng would have been completely weakened. The Source Sea energy fruit he had consumed earlier was gradually restoring his Source Sea's energy, but Lin Feng knew that it could only restore 50% of his Source Sea energy. If he wanted to restore his Source Sea to full, he would have to consume the last Source Sea energy fruit. As such, he had no more reserves. But this wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that he had been exposed and had escaped. And after that, Chapter 2720. It wasn't that Lin Feng didn't want to kill the Yin-Yang God, but he knew very well that even with the Power Source Sacred Fruit, he still couldn't kill his opponent. The Yin-Yang God, a peak Yuan Venerate, was too strong. If my internal universe wasn't suppressed, it would be entirely possible for me to annihilate the Source Sea with the help of the Power Source Sacred Fruit. Lin Feng was helpless, but the advancement of his internal universe wasn't something that could be done overnight. He was still quite a distance away from the peak Yuan Venerate. If it hadn't been for the Power Source Sacred Fruit, the battle just now would have been very difficult. There was only one Power Source Sacred Fruit. Now it had been exhausted. Phew! Lin Feng felt much better as he sensed the energy of his Source Sea slowly recovering. Although he was a little exhausted after the battle, it wouldn't take long for him to recover thanks to the energy recovery fruit of the Source Sea. I hope this is the final battlefield of the Intermediate Warrior trial. If it's completed, I can enter the ancient battlefield directly. Lin Feng thought to himself. If that was the case, he still had a glimmer of hope. However, if this wasn't the final checkpoint of the final mission and he had to leave the Starfall realm, the Yin-Yang God would definitely be guarding outside. There might even be other Yin-Yang Gods. That would be really troublesome. Lin Feng recognized the Yin-Yang God. He had witnessed the battle in the Taichung Venerate deity realm. That day, the Yin-Yang God had fought against Yuan Venerate Yi Dao and even had the upper hand. Now, he was actually able to compete with such a powerhouse and survive. Lin Feng couldn't help but chuckle as he thought about it. He had indeed become stronger. Although Universe 7's divine judgment brought him pressure everywhere, there was only motivation with pressure. This kind of tempering on the edge of life and death allowed him to grow rapidly and improve his strength. He was indeed no match for the yin-yang god now. But who knew what would happen in the future? I will definitely be able to kill him when I become a primal chaos supreme venerate. Lin Feng had a clear understanding of the yin-yang god's strength. He actually had a chance in the battle just now, but the gap between them was too great. If Senior Yellow Spring could kill the yin-yang god when he was a venerate, so he could do the same. The yin-yang god wasn't as terrifying as he had imagined. Although Lin Feng's battle with the yin-yang god had left him in a sorry state, he had gained some confidence. Final mission. Trial 2. Head to the Starfall region and experience a cosmic battle. Within the battle order space, the second mission of the Intermediate Warrior Trial had been fully activated. While Lin Feng was restoring the energy of his Source C, he was also carefully observing the changes in his surroundings. In the vast and boundless void, stars were falling from the sky. It was as if he was still in the meteor shower continent, but at the same time, he seemed to have left the meteor shower continent. In the void space, there were many semi-oval battle rooms. They were very close to each other, and from time to time, there were advanced universe warriors wearing universe armors coming and going. There were also intermediate universe warriors wearing universe armors walking about. Lin Feng was currently in one of the quiet battle rooms. Through the fully enclosed screen of the battle room, they could clearly see the surroundings, but from the outside, they could not see the inside of the battle room. Lin Feng was no stranger to the battle room. There was one in the Meteor Shower Plaza. However, the battle rooms in the Falling Star Plaza were sparse and were only used as resting places. The battle rooms here were as dense as locusts. He could feel that the battle rooms were filled with experts. Although Lin Feng did not leave the battle room, he could still sense the surroundings. This is a barracks. After experiencing a cosmic battle, it should be like this. The only thing Lin Feng was not sure about was whether everything here was real or fake. If it was real, he was not an advanced universe warrior and did not have a universe armor set. Would it be dangerous to participate in a cosmic battle? However, if it was fake, it did not seem so. He could feel that the advanced universe warriors around him were all living beings. The 6 universe high-level warriors in the first trial are also real. Lin Feng had also found many treasures in their storage rings, including 3 fruits that could restore the energy of his Source C. The first trial was real, so the second trial should be real as well. The difficulty shouldn't be too high. If I'm not wrong, it should just be for me to get used to the cosmic battle that advanced universe warriors must participate in. Lin Feng thought to himself. The mission seemed to have not started yet. However, he had not passed the danger yet. No matter how he looked at it, this was not the end of the final mission. He estimated that after completing this battle, he would be kicked out of the Starfall realm. At that time, he would definitely have to face the yin-yang god again. Next time, he must be fully prepared. Lin Feng frowned slightly. The impact of the Source C could not be repeated. Moreover, he did not have the Power Source Sacred Fruit anymore. Although he would not die if he met the yin-yang god again, he would definitely have to ask the Killing Heart Guanyin for help. I must change the unfavorable situation in the Starfall realm. Lin Feng's heart was clear as he left the battle room. The battle room could not change the unfavorable situation. The battle room was just a place to rest and cultivate. The key to changing the situation was the cultivator. There were many other cultivators here. What was the Starfall realm? Whether these advanced universe warriors were real or not, he would know after asking. Hello. Lin Feng greeted one of the advanced universe warriors. The latter's face was cold and did not even glance at him. It was as if he was looking down on him as he walked past. Oh, Lin Feng did not care. He did not have a universal armor set and only had the life energy of Huang Zun's level. It was normal for the advanced universe warrior to ignore him. Lin Feng was not discouraged. He quickly went to greet other advanced universe warriors. He did not believe that every advanced universe warrior was so cold. 2, 3, 4. Lin Feng went to 5 advanced universe warriors in a row. Without exception, they all treated him coldly, as if he did not exist. It was a very strange feeling. It shouldn't be like this, Lin Feng said to himself. Was I wrong? Is this just an illusion? But it doesn't seem like an illusion. Lin Feng frowned slightly. With his willpower that was comparable to that of a powerful being, he could tell if it was an illusion or not. However, everything here was very strange. The advanced universe warriors ignored him as if he was invisible. Could it be that the mission requirement did not allow communication? Just as he was puzzled, an advanced universe warrior walked in front of him. He was wearing a golden universal armor set. His face was different from the other advanced universe warriors. It was less cold and more emotions. What's the matter, little guy? It was a handsome man. He seemed to be easy to talk to. Hello, Lin Feng greeted as he looked at the high-level universe warrior. Although the other party had a smile on his face, Lin Feng could feel a cold and terrifying murderous intent coming from him. The aura emanating from his bones was chilling. It was very scary. Chapter 27-21. So powerful. Previously, Lin Feng had killed 6 senior universe warriors, so he had not thought much of him. Now, however, he was inexplicably fearful. This delicate and pretty senior universe warrior before him gave him the feeling that he was even scarier than Yin-Yang God. He was definitely not an ordinary advanced universe warrior. Are you here for a mission? The handsome man asked with a smile. Yes, Lin Feng answered honestly. Of all the warriors in the camp, only he wasn't wearing a universe armor or a battle suit, so he stood out. Relax. It's just an ordinary mission. Just follow the leader's orders. As long as you don't make any mistakes, there won't be any danger. The handsome man patted Lin Feng's shoulder and was about to leave with a smile. Senior, wait, Lin Feng said. It wasn't easy to meet someone who was willing to talk to him, so he had to grab hold of him. The handsome man stopped. Lin Feng said, Senior, how long do I have to do this mission? Will I leave after it's over? The handsome man pondered for a moment. It's just clearing out some time devouring bugs. I can't say exactly how long it will take, but it usually won't take more than 1 era. Looking at Lin Feng, the handsome man smiled. After the mission, you'll get a newbie battle token and leave. With the newbie battle token, you'll return to the battlefield of the God world to complete the registration and verification of your identity as a universe army. Then you'll officially enter the 7th universe army. The 7th universe army? Lin Feng had a rough idea. The first trial seemed to be the most difficult. It was the verification of strength. The second trial was just a small test before entering the universe army. It was like a battle simulation. As for the last trial, it should be routine and not dangerous. However, he still had to return to the battlefield of the God world to complete all the trials. Can I enter the ancient battlefield directly without going back? Lin Feng asked. The handsome man laughed. No, every warrior has to follow the established procedure. Lin Feng's heart sank. In other words, he only had 1 mission time. 1 arrow was far from enough for him. It was just a drop in the bucket. What's wrong? The handsome man blinked. There seemed to be a deeper meaning in his smile. Lin Feng asked, Does Senior know when the cleanup mission will begin? Soon, when the horn sounds, they will gather and carry out the cleanup mission, the handsome man said. Lin Feng said, Is the destination the Hongmeng Sea? The handsome man smiled. Isn't this the Hongmeng Sea? The original universe is just a drop in the Hongmeng Sea. The Hongmeng Sea is vast and boundless. You will know in the future. Lin Feng said, Then what if I accidentally fail or get lost while completing the mission? What will happen? The handsome man looked at Lin Feng. Then it's over. With your current strength, you are far from being able to gallop through the Hongmeng Sea. The Hongmeng Sea's universe-devouring insects will appear in some remote areas of the Hongmeng Sea and multiply in large numbers. If you don't listen to your superior's orders and act recklessly, staying here alone, you will be forever lost in the Hongmeng Sea. So that was the case. Lin Feng nodded slightly. He had originally planned to stay at the cleanup mission's location and slowly cultivate until he had the confidence to deal with the Yin-Yang God of eternity. But now it seemed that this was just wishful thinking. If he stayed at the cleanup mission's location, he wouldn't be able to return. This wouldn't do, that wouldn't do. What could he do in the short span of an era? The crisis was imminent. This was something he couldn't avoid no matter what. If I temporarily stay here after completing the cleanup mission and return to the battlefield of the Supreme God World a little later, is that okay? Lin Feng asked again. No. The handsome man smiled. You haven't officially joined the 7th Universe's army. How can you stay here just because you want to? Where is the military discipline? If you want to stay here, go back and register your identity. We will meet again soon. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He just didn't want to go back. Now it seemed that there was no gap in the second trial. When the horn sounded, he would go out with the 7th Universe's army and carry out a simple cleanup mission that could be completed within an era. Then, he would be sent back to the battlefield of the Supreme God World after obtaining the newcomer battle token. The entire trial mission was very detailed and clear. Phew! Lin Feng sighed softly, feeling a slight headache. Just a little more. If the yin-yang god of eternity hadn't appeared, he might have been able to avoid this calamity and return to the battlefield of the Supreme God World. He would have completed the final mission cleanly and entered the ancient battlefield. Then, he would really be able to sleep in peace. However, some things were destined to happen. Senior, if I want to kill a peak Yuan venerate whose strength far surpasses mine, is there any way? Lin Feng was honest and didn't feel ashamed to ask. After all, there was no other way at the moment. He had to make a Hail Mary effort. It's simple. You can exchange for a Hongmeng weapon. The handsome man blinked. Simple? A Hongmeng weapon. Lin Feng's heart burned with hope. How do I exchange for it? The handsome man smiled. Warrior-level weapons can be exchanged with military merit. Warrior level? Lin Feng was stunned. Is that a military rank above a high-ranking warrior? The handsome man shook his head. Above a high-ranking warrior is a top-ranking warrior, and above a top-ranking warrior is a warlord. To become a warlord, one must not only have the strength of an almighty, but also have to have made contributions to the 7th cosmos. Then can I ask a warlord to help me exchange for a Hongmeng weapon? Lin Feng asked. The handsome man shook his head. Firstly, you are a newcomer and won't be able to ask a warlord for help. Secondly, military merit and war merit are different. Military merit is much more precious. Thirdly, the army has its own rules. Hongmeng weapons can't be exchanged so casually. They're different from ordinary treasures. Ordinary treasures? Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Is the power source sacred fruit considered an ordinary treasure? The handsome man said, anything below 100 million war merit is considered an ordinary treasure. Any warrior can exchange for it directly. Anything above 100 million war merit requires a corresponding military rank and cannot be exchanged for or transferred. The power source sacred fruit costs 40 million war merit each. Naturally, it is an ordinary treasure. 40 million war merit? Lin Feng's previous valuation in the battle order space was 20 million war merit, but after thinking about it, he understood that the price of buying and selling was different. Senior means that ordinary treasures below 100 million war merit, like the power source sacred fruit, can be exchanged for by others? Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The handsome man nodded. The army doesn't care about ordinary treasures. For example, some beginner warriors will find a top-ranking warrior to exchange for them because of the 30% discount. Oh, Senior, are you a top-ranking warrior? Lin Feng asked. The handsome man smiled and took out a battle order. I guarantee it. Do you want me to exchange for it? The usual 10% commission. Thank you, Senior. Lin Feng said happily. Chapter 27-22. A 10% commission fee wasn't high. For example, a power source sacred fruit cost 40 million battle credits. A mid-level warrior would get a 10% discount, which was 36 million battle credits. A high-level warrior would get 32 million battle credits, but a top-level warrior would only need 28 million battle credits. A 10% commission fee would be 4 million battle credits. Lin Feng was using the military rank of a high-level warrior to exchange for the fruit. It didn't matter whether the military earned the 4 million battle credits or the top-level warrior earned them. Furthermore, Lin Feng didn't have the ability to exchange at all. He wasn't even considered a newcomer, so he could only exchange for the treasury of the God Realm battlefield and not the armory of the 7th Universe Army. In terms of qualifications, he wasn't even comparable to a primary-level warrior. The 7th Universe Army had primary-level warriors and mid-level warriors. These were the elites selected from the 7th Universe and nurtured from a young age. In terms of military discipline and ability, they far exceeded ordinary cultivators. Those who came from the God Realm battlefield were considered half-baked. Therefore, they had higher requirements for strength and had to be high-level warriors. Perfect Chaos Ultimate Treasure Rain Painted Mirror 99. 99 million battle credits. 10 Power Source Sacred Fruits 400 million battle credits. 80 Lesser Source Sacred Fruits 800 million battle credits. Rounding it up, it's 2 billion battle credits. The treasure you gave me is worth 958 million battle credits, which is about right. You don't have to calculate the missing 2 million battle credits. The handsome man chuckled. Thank you, Senior. Lin Feng was very grateful. The commission fee plus the exchange price was 80% of the price, which was equivalent to the exchange of a high-level warrior. Lin Feng didn't have that many battle credits, and the battle credits themselves couldn't be transferred. However, treasures could. He had 14 decent Chaos Ultimate treasures on him, which had been given to him by the 14th Yuan Venerate of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Most of them were perfect Chaos Ultimate treasures, but they were usually priced at a few million battle credits. Fortunately, the first senior brother and second senior brother had given him peak Chaos Ultimate treasures. Both of them were close-range treasures. Although they were suitable for him, he couldn't use them for the time being. Plus, the crisis was imminent. Thus, he exchanged for one of them. Together with several other perfect Chaos Ultimate treasures, he now had 958 million battle credits. This round of exchange could be said to have emptied most of his assets. However, exchanging for treasures that were suitable for the current situation was not a loss. The effect of the strong source sacred fruit on Yuan Venerates wasn't great, but it was quite significant for Luo Yunyang. The lesser source soul fruit was a fruit that could restore the Origin Sea's energy. Each fruit cost 10 million battle merits and could restore 50% of the Origin Sea's energy. It was actually quite expensive, but it was a treasure that he needed. The perfect Chaos Cardinal treasure, the Rain Painted Mirror, was a treasure used to break through the Origin Sea. There were no such treasures in the War Token Treasury, but there were countless such treasures in the 7th Universe Army's armory. 99 million battle credits was the maximum price for a perfect Chaos True treasure, which proved that even if the Rain Painted Mirror wasn't the most powerful perfect Chaos True treasure, it had to be one of the most powerful treasures. The starting price of a Pinnacle Chaotic True treasure was 100 million battle credits. It was not an ordinary treasure. The limit of 100 million battle points was right in front of them, and no one could surpass it. Lin Feng also wanted to exchange for a Grand Mist weapon, but that was just wishful thinking. Not to mention that he didn't have the qualifications to exchange for it. Just the price of a Grand Mist weapon was already an astronomical figure. He didn't even have any military credits. This was something he couldn't afford right now. These 3 treasures were the best treasures that Lin Feng could exchange for himself at present. He would use his battle merits to the limit. However, Lin Feng still had no confidence that he could deal with the Yin-Yang God. He would do his best and leave the rest to fate. There's still an era left. There will always be a turn for the better. Lin Feng now felt more confident than before. Anything could happen in an era. There was still a chance. At least, it was much better than being surrounded by a dead end before. Thank you, Senior. Lin Feng put away the treasures and was about to express his gratitude, but there was no trace of the handsome man. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air right under his nose. A top-notch warrior is indeed a top-notch warrior. He's too powerful. Lin Feng was also impressed. He felt that this senior's strength was 100% above the Yin-Yang gods. There were too many powerhouses in the 7th Universe's army. This senior was only a top-notch warrior, and there were even stronger generals, all of whom were almighties. Lin Feng was even more curious about the 7th Universe's army. However, to join the 7th Universe's army, he first had to pass the Yin-Yang God's threshold. Speaking of which, this senior's speech and actions feel like a woman, but the killing intent emanating from his body is really terrifying. Lin Feng also thought to himself, after all, it would be rude to say it out loud. Homing Sea, ancient battlefield. Hua, a beautiful figure appeared on this vast land. It was a woman dressed in a red brocade robe. She had a full body and looked like a human, but she had dozens of pairs of arms. They were bright and white, and her fine hair was like a clear river. In the middle of her forehead was a swastika that contained endless power. She had a smile on her face, but her body exuded a chilling, killing intent, especially her pair of phoenix eyes, which were like daggers that could pierce the heart. The combination of her beautiful figure and her terrifying killing intent gave people a very strange feeling. She was one of the two managers of the supreme God battlefield. Almighty, Killer Heart Guanyin, you're back. The one who spoke was a man who was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. He had two sharp eyebrows and a straight nose. There was also a swastika mark on his forehead, which contained great power. His arms were densely packed with skulls, as if they were embedded in his skin. It was a horrifying sight. However, there was no killing intent on his body. Instead, there was a feeling of a spring breeze like a Buddha's light that made people feel at ease. When he opened his eyes, it was as if he could dissolve all the killing intent in the world. His thick lips moved slightly, and there was an echo. Almighty Buddha Heart Shura. He was also one of the two managers of the supreme God battlefield. Yes, Killer Heart Guanyin stopped. As a manager, you shouldn't interfere with other matters. Buddha Heart Shura said lightly. Killer Heart Guanyin frowned and said, what I do has nothing to do with you. Besides, I haven't done anything that oversteps my position. Buddha Heart Shura said softly, you've crossed the line. Killer Heart Guanyin snorted and said, you're meddling too much. Buddha Heart Shura said, if the Lord finds out, you'll be in trouble. Don't worry, I'll take responsibility for my own actions. If the Lord wants to punish me, I'll take responsibility. Killer Heart Guanyin impatiently brushed past Buddha Heart Shura and disappeared in an instant, leaving behind a fragrant wind. Love is a tiresome word. Buddha Heart Shura sighed softly and closed his eyes. Chapter 27-23. It was a perfect chaos ultimate treasure, the rain-painted mirror. Lin Feng didn't refine it immediately after returning to the battle room. Firstly, the Qin Emperor's origin heart was refining the Fallen Star Soul, a super treasure obtained from the 3-star Fallen Star treasure map. Secondly, he didn't have enough time to refine it. Soon, the trial battle would begin. Lin Feng had a preliminary plan to deal with the current predicament. Although he still wasn't confident, at least he had a way out. He might not necessarily be unable to kill the Yin God. The previous battle with the Yin Yang God had made Lin Feng aware of the difference in strength between them. Although it was big, it wasn't really that big. At the very least, the Yin God wasn't without flaws in the face of the Source Sea. Luo Yunyang might not have lost that battle if he hadn't had the suppression of his internal universe. The reason was that the Yin Yang God's soul defense wasn't strong. His soul defense treasure is very ordinary, but he will probably switch to a better soul defense treasure the next time we fight. The Yin Yang God wasn't stupid. His soul defense treasure had been shattered in the previous battle, so he would definitely switch to a better one next time. The 7th Universe's divine tribunal didn't lack treasures. My advantage is that the powerhouses of the origin universe basically all have a sea of consciousness, but I have a source sea. Just like the suppression of a Yuan venerate powerhouse's internal universe, the source sea completely suppressed the sea of consciousness. However, the prerequisite was that one had to break through the protection of a soul defense treasure in order to show the suppression. In the previous battle with the Yin Yang God, Luo Yunyang would have been defeated if his soul defense treasure had been able to withstand the impact of the fallen star mystic art. However, the situation had been reversed when his soul defense treasure had been shattered. The rain-painted mirror is a top-notch ultimate treasure that could destroy soul defense treasures. Given the quality of the rain-painted mirror, there wasn't a better Source Sea attack treasure among the perfect chaos ultimate treasures in the arsenal. In fact, it was already comparable to a peak chaotic ultimate treasure. Lin Feng's goal was very clear. He had to win this round of confrontation with a chaotic ultimate treasure with his Source C. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter how strong his Source C was or how exquisite his secret technique was. It was like attacking a city. If he couldn't break into a fortified city, there was no possibility of facing the enemy head-on. Then, I'll have to rely on secret techniques. The power of the secret technique determined the upper limit of the attack, especially since the energy in the origin C couldn't be greatly increased. The secret technique was the decisive factor. The levels of secret techniques were normal, flawless, superior, ultimate, and ultimate. The falling star mystic art was only flawless. This was because this was Lin Feng's first time creating a secret technique, so he had no prior experience. As long as one had a certain level of understanding of the heavenly Tao and studied the path of secret techniques, one could create a flawless level secret technique by spending some effort. Creating an outstanding secret art wasn't so easy. First of all, one had to have a thorough understanding of the heavenly Tao. In addition, one had to have a lot of achievements and experience in the creation of secret techniques. Only by spending a lot of time and energy could one create an outstanding secret technique. For most venerable ones, outstanding secret techniques were the limit. I can create an outstanding secret art. Lin Feng was confident. After a series of battles and using the falling star secret art, he had gained a better understanding of the secret art of breaking through to the origin C. Moreover, he had exchanged for 80 lesser source soul fruits and had a large amount of energy stored in his origin C, so he could use the falling star secret art to his heart's content. This is very important. Without the origin C energy recovery fruit, he couldn't use the secret technique, let alone create a higher level secret technique. The most important thing was, in the current situation, he had no choice but to create an outstanding secret technique. Only an outstanding secret technique, combined with the power of the power source sacred fruit and the perfect chaos treasure rain painted mirror, can possibly defeat the yin-yang god. Lin Feng knew it would be difficult, but he didn't have to kill the yin-yang god. He only needed to defeat him and make him feel threatened. The last battle had proven that the yin-yang god was a self-centered god of eternity, not one who relied on the heavenly Tao. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the falling star realm right now. As long as I defeat it and complete the final registration and verification of the universe army, I will be able to enter the ancient battlefield. Lin Feng sat quietly in the battle room as he recalled the secret technique, meteor fall, time after time. Especially the last time when he fought the yin-yang god. The power of the power source's sacred fruit had greatly increased the power of the falling star secret art. The falling star secret art could be even stronger. Lin Feng had an exchange for a secret technique to break through to the Source C. What belonged to someone else was ultimately someone else's. Truly powerful secret techniques were created by oneself and used one's own conditions as a foundation to maximize one's strength. Only such a secret technique would have unlimited possibilities. If one wanted to go further on the path of secret techniques, they had to advance step by step. The difference between a flawless secret technique and an outstanding secret technique lies in one's understanding of the secret technique itself and one's understanding of the heavenly Tao. Lin Feng's consciousness was immersed in his internal universe as he meditated. Why was it difficult for ordinary venerables to create powerful secret techniques? It was easier for powerhouses like Huang Zun to create secret techniques. It was even easier for godly venerables to create secret techniques. Yuan venerates could easily create outstanding secret techniques. Ultimately, it was because of their understanding of the heavenly Tao. This heavenly Tao was narrow and belonged to the heavenly Tao of the secret technique itself, but it was also broad and all-encompassing. Some talented super geniuses could create outstanding secret techniques when they were almighty venerables. This wasn't because they had a deep understanding of the heavenly Tao of the universe, but because they had a thorough understanding of the heavenly Tao of the secret technique itself. However, this was basically the limit. A true heavenly Tao was indispensable for both. The all-encompassing heavenly Tao of a universe was actually in one's internal universe. The deeper one's comprehension, the more thorough one's understanding of the heavenly Tao of a universe would be, and the more perfect their internal universe would be. Although Lin Feng's internal universe wasn't as good as a Yuan venerates, it was far more perfect. After all, his internal universe was a true, original universe. Therefore, even though Lin Feng hadn't created any secret techniques back then, he had easily created the flawless falling star secret technique. Unlike the saber technique, Lin Feng didn't have a deep understanding of the soul heavenly Tao, as this heavenly Tao was lacking in the original universe. Being able to create the falling star secret technique was ultimately due to his internal universe. Therefore, Lin Feng was currently taking root in his internal universe and meditating. This was his breakthrough and not his comprehension of the soul heavenly Tao. Comprehension of the heavenly Tao wasn't something that could be achieved overnight. Time passed slowly. After an unknown amount of time, Lin Feng was also completely immersed. Suddenly, bang, bang, a deafening sound was heard and went straight to the bottom of his heart. It was like a sleeping alarm clock that interrupted all his comprehension and woke Lin Feng up instantly. Horn of Assembly. Although this was the first time Lin Feng had heard such a sound, he was already mentally prepared. When the Horn of Assembly sounded, the soldiers of the 7th Cosmos Army gathered to carry out the cleanup mission. Chapter 27-24. Although Lin Feng didn't know where he was going, he knew that since it was a trial mission, the 7th Universe Army must have arranged it properly. He didn't need to think too much about it. As expected, when he entered the battle room, there was already an advanced universe warrior standing in front of him. He was expressionless, but it was obvious that he was waiting for him. There was a clear 8-star symbol on the chest of his universal armor. This was an 8-star advanced universe warrior. In the 7th Universe Army, he had the status of a captain. "Follow me," the advanced universe warrior ordered. Without saying anything else, he turned around and walked away. Lin Feng followed him. Looking around, the barracks had become crowded and lively. Advanced universe warriors poured out and gathered into groups. 10 advanced universe warriors formed a team, 100 advanced universe warriors formed a team, and 1,000 advanced universe warriors formed a square, led by a top-level universe warrior. The levels were clear and orderly. Lin Feng could already distinguish the differences between advanced universe warriors. Just like intermediate universe warriors had 4-star, 5-star, and 6-star divisions, advanced universe warriors had 7-star, 8-star, and 9-star divisions. Normal high-level universe warriors had a 7-star symbol on their chest, so they were 7-star universe warriors. An 8-star advanced universe warrior was the captain, leading a team of 10 7-star warriors with an 8-star symbol on their chests. A 9-star advanced universe warrior was the captain, leading 10 teams with a 9-star symbol on their chests. As for the top-level universe warriors leading the square, they didn't have a star-shaped symbol. Instead, it was replaced by a military rank. Remember, move together. Without my orders, no one is allowed to leave the team. Understand? The 8-star advanced universe warrior shouted. Although he said so, his eyes were fixed on Lin Feng. "Yes, Captain," the 7-star advanced universe warriors replied in unison. Lin Feng knew that this was for him. There were exactly 10 people in this team, including him. He was the only one, and he wasn't wearing universal armor, which made him look out of place. The other universe warriors were obviously the regular army. They were all expressionless and disciplined. It seemed that it was difficult to communicate with them. My luck is not bad. I met an easygoing top-level universe warrior. Lin Feng felt lucky. It wasn't easy to find someone to help him, let alone a top-level universe warrior. If he left the barracks and went deep into the Hongmeng Sea to carry out missions, he would not be able to exchange for any treasures. By the time he returned to the barracks, he would have completed his mission and would have to leave. So, it was really just luck before. Because before meeting that top-tier universe warrior, he had tried to strike up a conversation with him several times, but he had been coldly ignored. Lin Feng didn't know that the army had its rules. It wasn't that they were cold, but everyone knew that he was there to complete the rookie trial mission. Not giving him any help was the unspoken rule of the 7th Universe Army. Although he was indifferent with Lin Feng's ability, it was actually very easy for him to complete this rookie battle mission. However, it was impossible for him to do anything else. As an almighty and the manager of the primordial God realm battlefield, Killer Heart Guanyin was aware of Lin Feng's every move. She also knew what had happened in the primordial God realm, as Killer Heart Guanyin had always paid attention to poor Yuan Venerates. Back then, if Lin Feng had asked for help, Killer Heart Guanyin would have helped him and even sent him to the ancient battlefield herself. Offend Universe 7's Godly Inquisition? Killer Heart Guanyin had always done things her own way and didn't care. However, Lin Feng hadn't asked for help. As an almighty, Killer Heart Guanyin couldn't possibly lower herself and offer herself to help. Besides reprimanding him in her heart, there was nothing else she could do. The junior brother of a poor Yuan Venerate had the same moral integrity as a poor Yuan Venerate. After that, Killer Heart Guanyin had pretended to be a top-tier universe warrior and come into contact with Lin Feng. Rather than saying that she wanted to help Lin Feng, it was more like she was curious. She wanted to meet the junior brother of Huang Zun, the primordial chaos origin source. As for helping Lin Feng exchange treasures, strictly speaking, it wasn't against the rules. In the endless epics of the ancient battlefield, such things had often happened. After all, there was no explicit rule against helping newcomers exchange treasures. The ordinary treasures in the 7th Universe's military warehouse could be exchanged at will as long as one had enough battle merits. The assembly was complete. Lin Feng could empathize with the dense formation and the austere atmosphere. This was a real army. Although this army couldn't be said to be able to sweep away the 5 great leaders of the primordial universe, it wasn't far off. Their combat strength was too terrifying. It was no wonder that the first senior brother had said that the 7th Universe's divine tribunal would be unable to do anything once they entered the ancient battlefield. How did such an army come into being? Who is the Almighty behind it? What is their purpose? What is their relationship with the primordial universe? Lin Feng had a lot of questions. He was certain that the army in the barracks was far from the entire 7th Universe's army. According to what the top-tier universe warrior had said, the 7th Universe's army had the existence of a warlord, which was equivalent to the strength of an almighty. However, there weren't any in the barracks. Joining the 7th Universe's army meant that one could rest easy. It wasn't empty talk. The sound of the assembly horn gradually changed. Suddenly, a black hole-like crack appeared in the void and expanded like a black sun. High-level universe warriors swarmed in, and Lin Feng followed the team and entered quickly. The black hole-like crack was pitch black, like some kind of universe passage. The golden light of the universe armor set lit up the black hole-like crack. There was a sizzling sound all around, and there was a strong suction force. However, for high-level universe warriors, this suction force was nothing. Lin Feng didn't ask because no one spoke. The military discipline of the army was very strict. As a newcomer, Lin Feng didn't want to make any mistakes in completing the battle mission. If he failed the trial and couldn't join the 7th Universe's army, then all his efforts would be in vain. In just a few decades, they quickly passed through the Dark Universe Passage and entered a strange and desolate area. Sizzle, sizzle. There were broken space holes everywhere. They were so dark that it made one's heart palpitate. They were swallowing a huge suction force that was 100 times stronger than the black hole-like crack. The entire space was destroyed by some unknown force. Occasionally, brown and yellow light spots could be seen in the black holes. This is the time-devouring bug. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The time-devouring bug wasn't small, but from a distance, it looked like a light spot. Lin Feng was curious about the time-devouring bug, but he didn't have any mission because he couldn't even protect himself. He followed the captain and flew quickly. After a while, they separated from the other teams. We're in charge of this sector. Old rules split up. Newcomers stay, Captain Emoli shouted. Yes, Captain. The 8 7-star universe advanced warriors responded and flew off in 8 different directions. Lin Feng stayed where he was. Chapter 27-25. Newbie, I can lead you for 100 years, and then you can act on your own. Or you can carry out missions on your own now. Captain Mo Li said to Lin Feng with a serious expression. I want to act on my own, Captain. Lin Feng replied. With his strength, there was no need to waste 100 years. What he needed now was sufficient time to cultivate. As for carrying out missions, it was fine as long as he completed them. He didn't need a high completion rate. After all, he was just a newbie. Okay. Captain Mo Li's words were concise and comprehensive. With a flash of light, he took out a thin black metal plate. There were complicated patterns on it. This is a recording disc. Every team has their own area. If you go beyond the area, the recording disc will send out a warning. If you encounter danger, send your mind into the recording disc to send out a distress signal. Place it on the back of your hand. Lin Feng nodded and placed the black metal plate on his left hand. In a split second, a layer of faint light flashed, and the black metal plate directly entered the skin on the back of his hand without any feeling. The recording disc will also record the number of universe-devouring bugs you kill. The minimum requirement for a newbie is 1 million. Completing it will give you 10 million battle merits. Every universe-devouring bug you kill after that will give you double 2 battle merits. These will be shown on the recording disc. Take a look yourself. When the horn sounds, the mission ends. Gather according to the recording disc. Do you have any other questions? Captain Mo Li said to Lin Feng. Lin Feng pondered for a moment. Is there anything I need to pay attention to when killing universe-devouring bugs? Captain, as a newbie, don't get too close to black. They're the most universe-devouring bugs there. Once you are surrounded, immediately ask for help. Don't be afraid of losing face. Captain Mo Li said, the universe-devouring bugs will devour the internal universe. Once it causes permanent damage, it will sever your cultivation path. Black, is it that crack similar to a black hole? Lin Feng asked. Captain Mo Li said, yes, black. There is a universe-devouring queen bug inside, so don't get too close. Kill the universe-devouring queen bug and seal black. There will be warlord experts in charge. Remember, don't try to be brave. Universe-devouring queen bug. Warlord experts. Lin Feng sighed in his heart as well. That was the power level of an almighty. Is the universe-devouring queen bug very powerful, Captain? Lin Feng asked curiously. You can think of it as a peak Yuan venerate with one thought. It specializes in source spirit control, source spirit impact, and source spirit illusion. Captain Mo Li said, just one universe-devouring queen bug might be able to kill it, but there will be thousands of universe-devouring bugs around it. Even if a 12-star universe warrior is surrounded, his internal universe will be quickly devoured. So powerful. Lin Feng sighed with emotion. The Hongmeng Sea was huge, and there were all kinds of strange life forms. Captain, can we use origin soul attacks to deal with space-devouring bugs? Lin Feng asked again. Captain Mo Li was taken aback. Of course not. The universe-devouring insects don't have souls, and you want to kill 1 million of them. How can you use your soul source to attack? That's true. Lin Feng also asked casually. He only had 80 lesser source soul fruits. If he really wanted to use his source soul to break through, how much source soul energy would it consume? Do you have any other questions? Captain Mo Li was very patient. No, thank you, Captain. Lin Feng thought for a moment and did not have any other questions. Simply put, he had to kill 1 million universe-devouring bugs in this fixed-star zone and complete the cleanup mission. Then, the trial would be considered complete. It was simpler than he had imagined. According to what the previous top universe warrior had said, the cleanup mission would take about 1 era. Lin Feng was confident that he could kill 1 million universe-devouring bugs in 1 era. There should be a lot of time to cultivate. Lin Feng sped along. His current plan was to complete the intermediate trial mission first. After all, he had just arrived in this area, where the universe-devouring bugs were the most numerous and the easiest to kill. In the later stages, Most of the universe-devouring bugs would be killed by the other universe warriors, and the efficiency would decrease. Because of the lack of universe-devouring bugs, this star zone would be much quieter and safer, so he could cultivate in peace. I have to complete the mission within 3,000 years. If the other 7-star universe warriors could complete it, he could do it too. Moreover, his speed and efficiency would only be higher. Since he could not use the Origin Sea to attack, he would use the Mirage Sea Sword. The amount of Origin energy consumed was just SOSO, and the recovery speed was faster than the consumption. Lin Feng surveyed his surroundings and could clearly see the black hole in the distance that was releasing a powerful devouring force. From the black hole, a dense swarm of universe-devouring bugs flew out. Just as the captain had said, he could not approach that place. If he was surrounded by universe-devouring bugs, the consequences would be unimaginable. Devour the internal universe. Lin Feng quickly saw the true appearance of the universe-devouring insect. It was a strange and huge insect with saw-like teeth and a brownish-yellow carapace. Its carapace was covered with complicated patterns, and its blood-red eyes emitted an unpleasant, ear-piercing sound. So, the universe-devouring bugs were not fast because their bodies were relatively large, several times larger than Lin Feng. If he was bitten by them, it would not just devour the internal universe, but directly swallow him whole. However, this was also because Lin Feng was a human. Compared to those special life forms, the universe-devouring bugs were much smaller. Even compared to some huge demon race great beings, the universe-devouring bugs were not much. After all, they were only 5 meters tall. Let's see how strong their defense is. Lin Feng took out the Mirage Sea Sword and shot it at the universe-devouring bugs. He was not worried about not being able to kill them. A normal high-level 7-star universe warrior could kill a universe-devouring bug, so he could definitely do it too. The only difference was the difficulty. Shio! The Mirage Sea Sword flew straight at the universe-devouring bug. The bug reacted instinctively and shrank back into the brown-yellow carapace like a turtle. Clang! The Mirage Sea Sword hit the brown-yellow carapace and sent the universe-devouring bug flying. What a strong recoil! Lin Feng was secretly shocked. The Mirage Sea Sword did not shatter the brown-yellow carapace, only leaving a few cracks. The defense of the brown-yellow carapace was very similar to the defense of a universe armor set. It's not easy to kill it. It's no wonder that only high-level universe warriors were dispatched for this cleanup mission. Lin Feng now understood. The defense of the universe-devouring bugs was comparable to the threshold of a Yuan Venerate. Their attack power was weak, but they could devour internal universes, which was very deadly. Furthermore, there were many of them, so it would be quite troublesome if he was surrounded. However, it was not easy to kill them, especially for the other high-level 7-star universe warriors. So, the Mirage Sea Sword was extremely agile. It instantly changed its position in the air and stabbed directly from below. With a clear sound, it penetrated the carapace and killed the universe-devouring bug hiding in the carapace. Its carapace could only defend against attacks from the upper half. The lower half of its defense was completely empty. Lin Feng was slightly surprised when he killed the universe-devouring bug. Chapter 27-26. The Fantasy Sea Sword killed the universe-devouring bug and took out a small brownish-yellow bead from its hard shell. It looked like a demon's inner core or the core of a metal life. It was very strange. Captain said that the universe-devouring bug has no soul, so its power comes from this brownish-yellow bead. Lin Feng observed carefully. What power did the universe-devouring bug have? It could devour the internal universe. In other words, this brownish-yellow bead could devour the internal universe. However, there was nothing special about it, and it was an ownerless item. Would it be useful to him? Let's try it. Lin Feng was not afraid of any side effects. Even if the brownish-yellow bead could devour a little bit of the internal universe, he could quickly recover. If the brownish-yellow bead was really that dangerous, the captain would have reminded him. The captain did not mention it specifically, which proved that the brownish-yellow bead was not a dangerous item. Gulp! Lin Feng swallowed it and refined it in his body. Suddenly, his internal universe felt a pure energy fusing into it. It was like a tonic, nourishing and satisfying his internal universe. The brownish-yellow bead did not have much energy and was quickly digested. The internal universe did not change much either. It was like eating a snack, very delicious. I understand. Lin Feng had a rough idea. Just like the snake gall could detoxify and the universe-devouring bug could devour the internal universe, the brownish-yellow bead could restore the internal universe. It was not very useful. At least, these universe-devouring bugs could not hurt him with their strength. It was different from close-range attacks, where the universe-devouring bug could devour the internal universe. After all, at such a close distance, the universe-devouring bug's defense was quite outstanding. An ordinary 7-star universe high-level warrior might not be able to break its shell that was comparable to a universal armor set. However, the fantasy sea sword's attack would not give the universe-devouring bug any chance to get close. Before it got close, it was enough to kill it perfectly. Without the defense of the shell, the universe-devouring bug's physical body was only at the level of a peak ultimate god. Although it was already very strong, it was far from the fantasy sea sword's attack power. The mission is very simple. Get used to it, and I can get closer to Blackboard to kill it. Lin Feng naturally wanted to save time. The faster he completed the mission, the more time he would have to cultivate and prepare for his next battle with the yin-yang god. The more time he had, the more prepared he would be, and the higher his chances of success would be. However, he still had to complete the final trial mission. Otherwise, even if he killed the yin-yang god, it would be ridiculous if he couldn't enter the ancient battlefield. Whoosh! Chi! In the Blackboard void, Lin Feng quickly killed the space-devouring bugs. In terms of efficiency, no one in the entire team could match up to him. Even the team leader, Mo Li, could not kill the space-devouring bugs as fast as Lin Feng. Although Lin Feng had no experience, the Mirage Sea Sword's attacks had a natural advantage. In just 2 years, Lin Feng had already killed 1,000 universe-devouring insects, completing 1,000th of the required number. At this speed, he would be able to complete the task in about 2,000 years. Even if the number of universe-devouring insects decreased sharply, it would at most take him 3 for 1,000 years. No problem, I can get close to the Blackboard and kill. Lin Feng was not in a hurry and moved cautiously. After all, he was just a newcomer. If there were any mistakes, it would actually be a waste of time. However, killing 1,000 universe-devouring insects was more or less a benchmark. There was nothing too complicated about it. He just needed to pay attention to the appearance of the universe-devouring insects. Lin Feng had also killed 3 universe-devouring insects at the same time. They came from 3 directions and were all killed before they could even get close. If they came from one direction, it would be even simpler. He just needed to increase the distance and kill them one by one. The universe-devouring insects did not have much intelligence and did not know how to coordinate too complicated. They simply moved based on instinct. Wherever there was a universe, they would be there. Lin Feng swallowed and refined 1,000 of the brownish-yellow beads. They were not of much help to the universe in his body, but at least they were delicious and nourishing. There were also good things. There are indeed more. There was still some distance to the Blackboard, but the number of universe-devouring insects had obviously increased. In an instant, 7 universe-devouring insects whizzed over from afar. Their blood-red eyes were filled with killing intent, as if they wanted to devour Lin Feng completely. Chi! 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 The Mirage Sea Sword turned into rays of light. Lin Feng controlled the Mirage Sea Sword to attack and increase the distance. Without much effort, he killed all 7 universe-devouring insects. The 7 brownish-yellow beads followed the Mirage Sea Sword and fell into Lin Feng's hands. He immediately refined them. He continued to get closer. Lin Feng was skilled and daring. The Blackboard that was 100 times more terrifying than a black hole swallowed and spat out terrifying energy. One could even see the universe-devouring insects flying out with the naked eye. They were getting closer and closer. The efficiency of the killing also increased. Universe-devouring insects fell from the void from time to time. Lin Feng killed decisively and did not waste any time. He wanted to complete the newcomer mission in the shortest time possible. In the void of the blackboard, a man dressed in universal armor held a silver sword and was fighting fiercely with more than 10 universe-devouring insects. There were 8 star symbols on his chest. It was the captain of Lin Feng's team, Emoli. His figure paused, the sword in his hand, and the hard shell of the universe-devouring insect shook. A dark force lifted the universe-devouring insect, and a ray of light shot out, killing a universe-devouring insect. Another universe-devouring insect beside him tried to bite him. Emoli blocked it with the universal armor on his left hand. Before the universe-devouring insect could swallow it, it was pierced by the sword and turned into ashes. Shake, block, kill. Emoli's actions were clean and neat. His killing efficiency was shocking. Even though he was surrounded by more than 10 universe-devouring insects, he did not seem to be in a mess. There are no wounds on his body. He skillfully combined defense and attack, unleashing 120% of his power. Emoli had done this kind of cleanup mission countless times. Every time he killed tens of millions of universe-devouring insects. Even though it was not as efficient as those universe high-level warriors, it was definitely not bad. Suddenly, Echem? Emoli frowned and was slightly stunned. He could feel that there was a battle not far away. In this area, other than the members of his team, there were no other universe warriors. It did not make sense. He was very clear about the power of the universe, high-level warriors under him. They were far from being able to kill the universe-devouring insects here. It was too dangerous. They are really willing to give up their lives for battle merits. Emoli's expression was ugly. As the captain, he naturally had to be responsible for his team members. How could he let them do whatever they wanted here? Even he had to be very careful in order to fight here. The moment he was surrounded by the universe-devouring insects, he would need to recuperate for hundreds of eras. In the worst case, he would lose his training. Chi! Emoli quickly killed the universe-devouring insects surrounding him and rushed to the battle not far away. Chapter 27:27. Newbie Lin Feng. Captain Emoli's eyes widened as a wave of anger rose within him. He naturally knew that newbies from the original universe were all proud and arrogant. Having just joined the 7th Universe Army, it was hard to become a qualified soldier. However, he was actually quite satisfied with this newbie Lin Feng. He was humble, low-key, and seemed very honest. Before carrying out the mission, he had carefully asked about the possible dangers here. Emoli liked Lin Feng's cautious attitude. As a soldier, carrying out missions was important, but knowing the dangers and ensuring one's own life was also the most important. What Emoli was against the most was overestimating oneself and doing things that were beyond one's ability. If one wasn't confident and didn't have the strength, then don't do it. The more difficult missions would be done by the stronger universe soldiers. Staying within one's capabilities and doing things within one's capabilities was the way he respected doing things. But now, a mere newbie was actually so close to black, fighting against the time-devouring bugs in such a place. He didn't know how terrifying the time-devouring bugs were. He really doesn't want to live anymore. Idiot. Captain Emoli's expression was ugly as he cursed. A total of 20 time-devouring bugs. Even he would find it hard to kill them all without suffering any damage. The danger level was too high. This was definitely not something a newbie could handle. Emoli clenched his teeth and used his fastest speed to rush towards Lin Feng's location. Although he was angry, they were still a small team, and he was the captain. No matter how stupid the team member was, he would help if he could. Whether it was reprimanding or cursing, he would deal with it later. But suddenly, what entered Emoli's eyes was a flying sword that changed direction at lightning speed. It was as fast as a shooting star as it rapidly assassinated the time-devouring insect. 1, 2, 3. In the blink of an eye, 10 time-devouring bugs died. The remaining 10 time-devouring bugs madly tried to bite Lin Feng, but the distance only shortened by a little. Before they could reach Lin Feng, they were all pierced by the flying sword and died. 20-time devouring bugs, all dead. Captain M.O. Lee. Stunned. M.O. Lee's eyes widened as he stood there in a daze. He had originally planned to help Lin Feng. Even 20 universe-devouring bugs was an enormous burden to him, but now he awkwardly stopped in midair. Help! Lin Feng didn't need help at all. In the blink of an eye, the 20 universe-devouring bugs had been completely annihilated. Killing them was as easy as blowing off dust, and they were annihilated in the blink of an eye. Such a calm and composed killing. Only a top-tier universe warrior could do it. But Lin Feng was just a newbie, a 6-star intermediate warrior. Captain. Lin Feng's figure flashed and appeared beside Captain M.O. Lee. Lin Feng had already noticed the captain's presence long ago. This area was dark. Not much. He had not been separated from the captain for long, and the area he was in was still very close. Killing space-devouring insects nearby was naturally in the same area. In the void, Captain M.O. Lee opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. He had prepared a speech of reprimand, but he couldn't say a single word now. What could he say? Saying that Lin Feng was overestimating himself and was a maverick? He definitely had the strength and ability to do so. The reality was right in front of him, and M.O. Lee had seen it with his own eyes. His efficiency in killing space-devouring bugs was far greater than his. Continue. Captain M.O. Lee was stuck for a long time before saying these two words. He turned and left. His face turned green and white. It was indeed a bit awkward. Thank you, Captain. Lin Feng's voice came from behind him. Captain M.O. Lee's figure paused slightly, and the awkwardness on his face instantly disappeared. He smiled. He knew that Lin Feng understood his intentions, and his heart warmed. Such a powerful newbie. I have to compete with him after the mission. Captain M.O. Lee's view of Lin Feng had completely changed. He had strength and was humble. If such a newbie went to other teams, the loss would be huge. His team was just short of one person. Lin Feng would soon join the 7th Universe Army after the mission ended. At that time, it was entirely possible that he would join their team. When a mission ends, I'll mention it to Lin Feng. Captain M.O. Lee already had an idea. Lin Feng naturally didn't know that Captain M.O. Lee had planned so much. His feelings towards the captain were completely from the bottom of his heart. Seems like the captain is also hunting in this area. I'll go deeper. Lin Feng didn't want to compete with Captain M.O. Lee for the universe-devouring bugs. It was meaningless. There were plenty of universe-devouring bugs. There was no point in snatching other people's merits. He could hunt anywhere. The Fantasy Sea Sword's attack method was very suitable for hunting universe-devouring bugs. Although Lin Feng didn't have a universal armor set, and his defense couldn't compare to other high-level universe warriors, it didn't matter because the universe-devouring bugs couldn't get close. Already used to the universe-devouring bugs attack method, Lin Feng slowly went deeper into the black. In the void, the densely packed universe-devouring bugs grew larger and larger because the distance between them and the universe-devouring bugs was getting darker and darker. They were already getting closer and closer. Lin Feng's efficiency was astonishing, and the distance between him and Captain M.O. Lee had already been pulled apart. Although they were in the same void, their positions were completely different. This is about it. Lin Feng didn't want to go too deep. After all, if there were too many universe-devouring bugs, they would swarm in from all directions. It would be hard to pull apart the distance. Stop while you're ahead. Completing the mission was the most important thing. The number of universe-devouring bugs was just within the safe range. 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. Lin Feng's movements were extremely fast. Soon, he completed 1% of the mission. In the previous 2 years, he had only killed 1,000 universe-devouring bugs, but now, in just a few dozen days, he had already killed 10,000. His efficiency was shocking. With this speed, I can complete the mission in a few dozen years. However, I can continue killing universe-devouring bugs. Not only can I improve my control of the Fantasy Sea Sword, but I can also obtain battle merits. Moreover, there are brownish-yellow pearls that can improve my internal universe. Lin Feng's eyes sparkled. The brownish-yellow pearls had their uses. Not only could they restore the internal universe, but they could also strengthen it. However, it was indeed hard to tell if there were only 10 or 100 pearls. Firstly, the internal universe was too huge. Secondly, the energy contained in the brownish-yellow pearls was too little. 1,000 brownish-yellow pearls had very little effect. However, 10,000 brownish-yellow pearls had a faint effect. Even if I complete the mission, 1,000,000 brownish-yellow pearls won't improve my internal universe too much. However, it's still a little bit. Lin Feng was still brooding over the fact that his internal universe had been suppressed by the yin-yang god. That battle was still fresh in his mind. The growth of the internal universe required a long time. Refining and absorbing the brownish-yellow pearls could only save him a little time. However, what Lin Feng needed the most now was time. Then I'll get closer. Since he knew the effects of the brownish-yellow pearls, Lin Feng had an idea. It would be best if he could improve his internal universe by a level. Even if it couldn't improve by much, it would at least improve his internal universe's resistance and reduce the losses. Chapter 27-28. The natural development of the internal universe required a long time. Just as the original universe slowly evolved from chaos, Lin Feng's internal universe was no different from the original universe because they were of the same origin. However, the internal universe had Lin Feng's willpower and evolved much faster. To Lin Feng, it wasn't too difficult to comprehend the existence of the heavenly Tao and the operation of the nomological laws. This was because this was something that belonged to him. As the universe in his body evolved, he could naturally comprehend it. The key was the speed of evolution. No matter how strong Lin Feng's willpower was and how much he gave his internal universe, it would still take a long time. The brownish-yellow beads could help Lin Feng save a little time. Indeed, just a little. Even if Lin Feng killed 100,000 universe-devouring bugs and refined 100,000 brownish-yellow beads, the internal universe's absorption and evolution was still very slow. It was estimated that 1 billion beads would not be enough to reach the peak level of Huang Zun's internal universe. Every little bit counted. Lin Feng did not have much hope as killing 1,000,000 universe-devouring bugs was a newcomer mission. The consumption and refinement of the brownish-yellow beads were a bonus. It was naturally good to have it, but it was not a big loss if he did not have it. It was unrealistic to rely on the internal universe to defeat the yin-yang god to make up for his disadvantage. Lin Feng knew that even if he refined 1 billion brownish-yellow beads, his internal universe would not be comparable to the yin-yang gods. Moreover, it was impossible to have 1 billion beads. That was because every team had a region they were responsible for. The number of universe-devouring bugs in a region was fixed. Black? There is indeed a universe-devouring queen bug that could continuously breed universe-devouring bugs, but it would not be long before warlord experts appear to kill the universe-devouring queen bug and seal off Black. I'll learn as much as I can. Lin Feng's efficiency in killing universe-devouring bugs was quite outstanding. He did not care about dozens of universe-devouring bugs and became more proficient as he killed them. Lin Feng even found that he could kill universe-devouring bugs without forming the illusion sea sword. Apart from the carapace's defense, the universe-devouring insect's defense was only at the peak ultimate god level. With his current soul origin strength, he could control more nether sand swords and increase his efficiency. Furthermore, just controlling the Mirage Sea Sword and increasing my control over my Origin Soul is already very difficult. If I want to improve my control over my Origin Soul, I still need to practice the Sword Formation. The Sword Formation was the third level of the Mirage Sea Dark Sand, which was also the strongest defensive state. When the Mirage Sea Sword's might was pushed to its limits, it was only slightly stronger than the first sword array, the triple light sky-shattering array. It was inferior to the second sword array, the Six Suns Unsplendor array. Compared to the other four sword arrays, the difference in strength was even greater. My current Origin Soul control is around 25 times. I can begin to grasp the third sword formation, the 12 Teia formation. The 12 Teia arrays were a sword array formed by 12 nether sand swords. Each sword was a 9x nether sand sword. I'll first familiarize myself with the attack patterns of the 12-9X nether sand swords. The universe-devouring insect's weak defense is just right for me to practice on. Lin Feng had already reformed the Mirage Sea Sword and was able to control the 12-9X nether sand swords with ease. This wasn't difficult. The difficult part was the formation of the sword array. There couldn't be a single mistake. The slightest mistake would make it impossible to form the sword array. To achieve perfect control over the 12 Tea arrays, I need a 30x origin soul control. I'm not far from that. When Lin Feng finished killing the 100,000 universe-devouring insects, he decisively changed his attack method. In the beginning, controlling 12-9X nether sand swords would greatly decrease his efficiency in killing the universe-devouring insects. This was because a single 9X nether sand sword wasn't enough to kill the universe-devouring insects. Moreover, to control 12 swords at the same time was even more difficult. However, Lin Feng knew that this was a path he had to take. It was the first condition to cultivate the 12 Tea arrays. As he slowly familiarized himself with it, his killing efficiency would gradually increase. Moreover, his current efficiency was already very high. It was worth it to reduce his efficiency slightly in exchange for comprehension of the sword array. Once he perfectly grasped the 12 Tea arrays, his combat strength would be terrifying even if he didn't use the Origin Sea attack. Lin Feng clearly knew that the Origin Sea attack couldn't be used as a conventional attack method. In the end, it was still very risky. However, at present, the Origin Sea attack was the only way to surpass 2 realms to defeat the Yin-Yang god. His efficiency was decreasing. Previously, when he used the Mirage Sea Sword to battle and killed 100,000 universe-devouring insects, Lin Feng had only spent a little more than a year. However, when he used the 9X nether sand sword to battle and killed 100,000 universe-devouring insects a second time, Lin Feng had spent a total of 17 years. Although he was slower than himself, he was still much faster than other 7-star and 8-star advanced universe warriors. At this speed, it would only take him about 300 years to kill 1,000,000 universe-devouring insects. However, Lin Feng was clearly not satisfied with this efficiency. As his comprehension of the sword array increased, the 9X nether sand sword began to combine and unleash the power of the sword array. The third time he killed 100,000 universe-devouring insects, Lin Feng had only spent 5 years to complete it. The fourth time, the fifth time, the sixth time, each time, the time it took was decreasing. Even if the number of universe-devouring insects was decreasing, the time it took to kill them was decreasing even faster. By the 9th kill, his efficiency had already surpassed the Mirage Sea Sword. By the time he completed the 10th kill, Lin Feng had only spent half a year to do it. 10000000. The recording disc clearly recorded the number of universe-devouring insects Lin Feng had killed. At this time, Lin Feng had entered the black void. It had been less than 100 years since he started the cleanup mission. Of the estimated 1 epoch, he had only used 1% of the time. What should he do? Continue killing universe-devouring insects? Or find a quiet place to cultivate? Continue. Lin Feng did not intend to stop. In the past 100 years, his control of the Source Soul had improved rapidly. From the initial 25x to the current 28x, he was not far away from the 30x. His control of the 12 Tea formation was also becoming more and more perfect. He was also familiar with the sword array. Fighting was the best way to improve. The endless universe-devouring insects had no intelligence and only one way of attacking. They were the best targets to practice on. Moreover, it was too early to cultivate in seclusion. The entire star zone was filled with universe-devouring insects. There was no place that was absolutely safe. This meant that he could not completely focus on creating secret techniques. Instead of constantly bumping into things and not being able to focus on cultivation, it was better to wait for a while. After all, there was no rush to create secret techniques. Lin Feng had a feeling that he would be able to master the 12 Tea formation within 1,000 years. Moreover, The brownish-yellow bead was indeed useful for the evolution and strengthening of the universe in his body. Now that there were so many universe-devouring insects, it was the best choice to continue killing them. 1 million is too little. I have to kill at least 10 million first. Lin Feng felt that this was not an impossible task. It was something that he could do now. Chapter 27-29. Don't you guys feel that there are too few universe-devouring bugs here? Me too. The efficiency is much lower than before. Then it's not my problem. Maybe the star zone we were assigned to this time isn't good. Whatever. How many merits can the universe-devouring bugs give? It's okay to relax once in a while. Just treat it as a rest. The 7-star Universe Advanced Warriors and Lin Feng's team would chat occasionally when they met. After 100 years, the efficiency was clear. Compared to the previous cleanup missions, the cleanup mission this time was inexplicably relaxed. The number of universe-devouring bugs they encountered was obviously less than before. The Universe Advanced Warriors didn't care. After all, killing a universe-devouring bug only gave them 1 merit, and there were no treasures. This was an army mission that had to be done. The efficiency was too low. So there was nothing wrong with relaxing. Hey, have you guys seen that newcomer? Nope, I don't know how he is, but it shouldn't be hard to kill 1 million universe-devouring bugs. It shouldn't be hard. Most newcomers can do it in a few thousand years. There are newcomers in our star zone, so the warlords should come later. But there are too few universe-devouring bugs this time. The newcomer is unlucky. The 7-star Advanced Warriors didn't know that the newcomer they were talking about had already completed the newcomer mission in less than 100 years. Although he didn't set a new record, this result was enough to be proud of. The only one who knew why there were so few universe-devouring bugs was Captain Emoli. If the other team members could feel it, Emoli could naturally feel it too. Moreover, he already knew about it a long time ago because he had bumped into Lin Feng and had seen Lin Feng getting closer to Blackboard. Emoli didn't persuade Lin Feng because he knew Lin Feng had the ability to kill 20 universe-devouring bugs without a scratch, so he couldn't be treated as a newcomer. Even if he was a newcomer, he was still a monster. With his efficiency, he should have completed the newcomer mission by now. Captain Mo'oli looked at Blackboard and whispered, "Such a strong newcomer. We must get him. I need to work harder too." Emoli did not care about a mere few million points. To a high-level universe warrior, the amount of points required was easily in the hundreds of millions. A few million points were not worth mentioning. Besides, if it could be exchanged for such a strong newbie, it would be worth it even if it was tens of millions or hundreds of millions of points. M.O. Lee's estimation of Lin Feng was already very high. But what he didn't know was that not only had Lin Feng completed the rookie mission, the number on the recording disc had already exceeded 5 million. M.O. Lee had still underestimated Lin Feng. Too fast. It took Lin Feng nearly 100 years to kill the first batch of 1 million universe-devouring bugs. However, it only took Lin Feng 5 years for the second batch of universe-devouring bugs. Lin Feng only used 4 years to create the third batch of 1 million universe-devouring bugs. The fourth batch, the fifth batch, the time Lin Feng spent gradually decreased because his control over the 12 Tea arrays was becoming more and more perfect. His control over his origin spirit had also reached 29 times. However, this was still not the end. It was still just a process. Lin Feng was still improving. The number of universe-devouring bugs began to decrease. However, as Lin Feng approached the blackboard, his efficiency was still shocking. From killing 1 million universe-devouring bugs to killing 10 million universe-devouring bugs, Lin Feng only used 49 years. This record was shocking. Even if he used the 12 Tea arrays to attack, the efficiency would not be that high. After all, the universe-devouring bugs were usually scattered. Attacking separately was actually the most efficient. In 49 years, Lin Feng also did this. Of course, Lin Feng's intention was not to kill the universe-devouring bugs. He had already forgotten about this after completing the rookie mission. Now, Lin Feng's mind was completely focused on the 12 Tea arrays. He was getting closer and closer to perfect control. The control over his origin spirit from 29 times to 30 times was the key. This was a necessary condition to achieve perfection. Lin Feng's understanding of the sword array and the usage of the 12 Tea arrays were close to the limit. Through battle after battle, his control had reached the peak. Boom! 12-9X nether sand swords condensed in the void, perfectly merging into one. Every nether sand sword resonated with the other 11 nether sand swords. At this time, the nether sand sword's attack, under the enhancement of the sword array, was comparable to the power of the Mirage Sea sword. They rapidly rotated and changed. 12 swords became one became 12. Endless sword chi crisscrossed. The power of the sword array was fully displayed. Several universe-devouring bugs bared their fangs. Their blood-red eyes were ferocious. They instantly fell into the range of the 12 Tea arrays. In an instant, the space changed and the sword array opened. The 12 nether sand swords rumbled and fell, resonating with the sword array. Chi, chi, chi. The nether sand swords directly pierced through. Even the armor with a defense comparable to a universal armor set could not block the terrifying sword chi. Under the sword array, several universe-devouring bugs were like saplings in a storm, instantly destroyed. Done. Lin Feng revealed a satisfied smile. The formation of the 12 Tea arrays was not only an increase in strength, but also the first perfect understanding of the sword array. If there was a first, there would be a second, a third, and a fourth. With this experience, it would be easier to understand the sword array in the future. The third-level ability of the Mirage Sea Nether Sand revealed its power. Blackboard. Lin Feng was very close to the blackboard. From afar, he could clearly see the universe-devouring bugs flying out of the blackboard. Those were the universe-devouring queen bug. Lin Feng was very curious about the universe-devouring queen bug. He did not know what kind of life form was that could give birth to countless universe-devouring bugs. However, now was not the time to be curious. It was impossible to enter the blackboard to see the universe-devouring queen bug. According to Captain Mo Lee, even a top-notch universe warrior would find it difficult to enter. There were thousands of universe-devouring bugs around the universe-devouring queen bug. Even a universal armor set could not block the attacks of the universe-devouring bugs. Lin Feng was not good at defense. Besides, even if he saw the universe-devouring queen bug, what good would it do him to kill it? Even if I refine millions of brown-yellow beads, the effect is limited. Although Lin Feng felt that his internal universe had become a little stronger, it was still far from a peak Yuan venerates internal universe. It would only be possible if he could refine 1 billion beads. But was that possible? There were at most tens of millions of universe-devouring bugs in this star zone. Strengthening his internal universe by 1% or 3% would not change the complete disadvantage. Rather than spending more time on this aspect, it would be better to spend more energy on areas where he had an advantage. Lin Feng knew very well that he still had two things to accomplish. First, refining the perfect chaos ultimate treasure, the rain-painted mirror, was extremely important. This was a perfect chaos ultimate treasure that could destroy an opponent's soul defense treasure. Unless the Yin-Yang God Soul defense treasure was a peak chaos ultimate treasure, he would definitely succeed if he used the rain-painted mirror in conjunction with his Source C. Second, creating an outstanding Source Spirit attack mystic technique. Chapter 2730. Universe 7's Divine Inquisition. Ha ha. The Yin-Yang God laughed heartily. Who knows if it's a blessing? I didn't expect to lose a Soul Defense True Treasure in exchange for a Soul Defense Pinnacle Chaos True Treasure. This time, there's nothing to be afraid of. Peak Chaos treasures were too rare. Even the Yin-Yang God only had one divine Chinquin lock. The rest were all perfect Chaos treasures. Now, he had obtained another peak Chaos treasure. Although it was temporarily borrowed, as long as he could kill the human Lin Feng and complete the mission, he would be able to keep it. A temporary loan would become a permanent possession. With a peak chaos treasure protecting my soul and the suppression of my internal universe, he won't be able to break my defense even if his source spirit attacks are 10 times stronger. The Yin-Yang God was confident. Such a treasure was enough to crush the human Lin Feng. A cleanup mission can take thousands of years if it's short and several epochs if it's long. It's still too early. There's still a lot of time to refine this soul defensive treasure. The yin-yang god wasn't worried about not being able to control it. Soul defensive treasures were very straightforward. Generally, they only needed to be refined to unleash their full effect. Refining a peak chaos treasure was easy for a peak yuan venerate. At the boundary of the blackboard void, Lin Feng had specifically searched for this peaceful area. Because it was quite far from the blackboard void, the chances of the space-devouring bugs appearing were the lowest. Although only 200 years had passed, the number of space-devouring bugs in this area had decreased significantly. After all, 10 million of them had already been killed by him. The smaller the number, the more at ease he could cultivate. However, Lin Feng didn't intend to create a secret technique for the time being. After all, there's still a lot of space-devouring bugs that would appear every now and then and disturb him. Even at the boundary, he could still run into space-devouring bugs. However, refining wasn't a hindrance. The Qin Emperor's origin heart was still refining the fallen star soul on its own, while Lin Feng had started refining the rain-painted mirror. The two could be done at the same time because the Qin Emperor's origin heart's refining was its own ability, all-encompassing, which was different from normal refining. Lin Feng could also speed up the refining of the fallen star soul. But Lin Feng didn't have much hope for this treasure with unknown effects. The fallen star soul. The effect of the rain-painting mirror was clearly visible. The most important thing was to destroy the opponent's soul defensive treasures. This was because the power of the secret arts and Origin C would only be revealed if the soul-protecting treasures were destroyed. Fortunately, it is a perfect Chaos Cardinal treasure. If it were a pinnacle Chaos Cardinal treasure, it would take me thousands of years to refine it given my current internal universe. Lin Feng only needed a few hundred years to refine the rain-painted mirror. However, this was also because Lin Feng's internal universe was strong enough. If it had been an ordinary Huang Zun expert, it would have taken at least epochs to refine a perfect Chaos true treasure. For supremacies, their internal universes were the most important, because this was the source of everything. As the refinement continued, Lin Feng scattered his senses and paid attention to the appearance of the universe devouring bugs. At the same time, he pondered how to improve Falling Star and create an excellent level secret art. Time was not wasted. After all, refining it would take hundreds of years. Swoosh! A golden figure sped forward. Wearing a universe armor set with 7 stars on the chest, it was Lin Feng's team. One of them was a 7-star senior universe warrior Jianhua Li, a special life form. Huh, a newcomer. Jian Zhuli's eyes brightened as she recognized Lin Feng. He is indeed near the border. It seems that killing the universe-devouring bugs is a burden for him. Jian Zhuli frowned slightly as she thought to herself. She was kind-hearted and was willing to help others in the team. In Jian Zhuli's opinion, they were all in the same team. Even if he was a newcomer and only joined temporarily, it was fate. She would help if she could. Hello, I'm Jian Zhuli. Is there anything I can help you with? Jian Zhuli's beautiful figure flashed and landed in front of Lin Feng. No, thank you. Lin Feng declined with a smile. This was the first team member he had met in this star zone. She was not bad. The previous team members he had met in the barracks were all cold and indifferent to newcomers. But in the team, Captain M.O. Li was willing to take him along and help him when he was in danger. Then, this special life form Jian Zhuli asked about him. Regardless of whether he needed help or not, at least this kind intention was hard to come by. Oh, you're welcome. Jian Zhuli smiled, thinking that Lin Feng was embarrassed. There will be many obstacles for newcomers to carry out missions. We are all in the same team. There's no need to be so calculative. If there's anything I can help with, just let me know. There are fewer universe-devouring bugs in this star zone. Maybe it won't be easy for you to complete the newcomer mission. If you can't complete it, you'll have to do the trial mission again. It will be very troublesome. Saying this, Jian Zhuli walked toward Lin Feng. In her opinion, newcomers might be embarrassed because from what she knew, advanced warriors from the original universe were usually arrogant and liked to flaunt their superiority. But now wasn't the time to flaunt their superiority. They weren't very lucky in this mission and were assigned to a bad star zone. There's really no need. I have completed the newcomer mission, Lin Feng said with a smile. However, his words were shocking and caused Jian Zhuli to jump in shock. Her beautiful eyes widened, and she was a little stunned. Completed the newcomer mission? It had only been a few hundred years. Jian Zhuli herself had only killed 150,000 universe-devouring bugs. Swish! Jian Zhuli's beautiful eyes glanced and landed on the recording disc in Lin Feng's left hand. The number on the disc was clear, and the beginning was indeed the number 1. Jian Zhuli looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. After a long while, she laughed involuntarily. This is unbelievable. You are so powerful. Thank you, Lin Feng said with a smile. They all said that there might be some obstacles in completing the newcomer mission. I didn't expect you to have completed it. Jian Zhuli wasn't too surprised. She was just surprised by newcomer Lin Feng's strength. It was much more powerful than she had imagined. To be able to complete the newcomer mission in a few hundred years, he was indeed a rather powerful newcomer. At least from what she knew, there were very few such newcomers. She had wanted to help the newcomer earlier, but it was too abrupt. No matter what, thank you. My name is Lin Feng, Lin Feng said courteously. Jian Zhuli nodded with a smile. Then you continue. I shall make a move first. Jian Zhuli turned and left. Her heart was still in shock. Her beautiful eyes unconsciously glanced at Lin Feng's recording disc again before she left. Newcomer Lin Feng? He is so powerful. I wonder if the captain knows about him. Jian Zhuli flew past like a meteor at an extremely fast speed. Suddenly, the number on the recording disc appeared in her mind. Jian Zhuli's beautiful eyes widened and her delicate body trembled. Impossible. Chapter 2731. Rain-painted mirror, refine. The speed of refinement mainly depended on one's internal universe, followed by compatibility with the treasure. Lin Feng's internal universe wasn't strong, but it was an origin soul after all. With the origin sea providing him with an endless supply of origin soul power, the refinement was a piece of cake. All the information about the rain-painted mirror flowed into his mind. Compared to a perfect chaos treasure with many nomological heavenly Tao, it was much easier to control an origin soul attack. This was a treasure that purely relied on origin soul attacks. Good. Lin Feng was very satisfied. If any kind of treasure only had a single effect, it would usually display more power than normal. If the rain-painted mirror had both an object control attack and an illusion attack, as well as an origin soul attack, its effect would be greatly reduced. But now, its effect was clear and direct. 3 painted mirrors: drizzle mirror, heavy rain mirror, and torrential rain mirror. They were origin soul attacks. They would first attack the opponent's soul defense treasure before attacking the origin soul. The power depended on the control of the mirrors and the quality of the origin soul. Although my origin soul's quality isn't high, only about 10 times, which is still far from a perfect origin soul with 100 times quality, I can use the heavy rain mirror. Its power is comparable to an ordinary perfect chaos treasure. The drizzle mirror could be used with 1 times the quality of the origin soul. The heavy rain mirror could be used with 10 times the quality of the origin soul. The strongest torrential rain mirror could be used with a perfect origin soul. It wasn't something that could be improved to the perfect origin soul in a short period of time. It was just like how one needed a long period of tempering to form a perfect origin body. Lin Feng was already very satisfied to be able to use the rain mirror because it was a top-notch perfect chaos treasure. Even its second attack form was stronger than an ordinary perfect chaos treasure. Moreover, it wasn't difficult to control the rain-painted mirror. I'll definitely be able to control the heavy rain mirror within 1,000 years. Lin Feng began to cultivate. Unlike the origin soul attack, the heavy rain mirror was more about controlling a perfect chaos treasure. It was similar to the Mirage Sea Dark Sand Sword Array. However, compared to the complexity of the Sword Array, the rain-painted mirror's attack was undoubtedly much simpler. It was just an attack. It kept attacking and attacking. Through the refraction and convergence of countless mirrors, The rain-painted mirror's power was raised to the extreme. As long as the origin soul was strong enough, it could even destroy a peak chaos treasure. If my internal universe wasn't suppressed, it could indeed destroy the pinnacle chaos true treasure. After cultivating the rain-painted mirror for several hundred years, Lin Feng had already grasped the basics. The power of the rain mirror was indeed extraordinary. However, the strongest was still the rainstorm mirror. Yin-Yang God's internal universe is much stronger than mine. The rain-painted mirror's might will definitely be suppressed. Even if the level of my origin soul's origin C is higher than his, the prerequisite for displaying its might is to destroy his soul-protecting treasure. If his soul-protecting treasure is a pinnacle chaos treasure, the rain cloud mirror might not be able to catch him. Lin Feng was also a little worried. The Great Rain Mirror was powerful, but it was only the second form of attack and a perfect chaos true treasure. Even a top-tier perfect chaos true treasure was inferior to a pinnacle chaos true treasure. Most importantly, the suppression of one's internal universe would result in various disadvantages. I hope his soul-protecting treasure is a perfect chaos treasure. Lin Feng couldn't do anything about this. He could only do his best and leave the rest to fate. He had already done all he could. It was impossible for him to cultivate the rainstorm mirror now because the quality of his origin soul wasn't enough. The number of universe-devouring bugs has decreased a lot. I can start creating a secret technique. Under the pressure of the yin-yang god, Lin Feng didn't collapse. Instead, he continued to cultivate and improve in an orderly manner. With a precise goal, one's path of cultivation would become clearer, and he would know exactly what he needed to improve. Now that he had mastered the rain-painted mirror, all that was left was the secret technique. Create an excellent secret technique. I will definitely create one. Lin Feng had no way out. Blackboard Void. After more than 3,000 years of sweeping, the number of universe-devouring bugs in the Blackboard Void had decreased. Although the universe-devouring queen bug was still breeding, it was near the Blackboard Void. It was rare to see universe-devouring bugs at the border of this star zone. The group of 7-star advanced universe warriors also became more idle. Jian Zhuli, you're so hard-working in this cleaning mission. Moto grinned. Yeah, I haven't seen Jian Zhuli so serious in a long time. She's so charming. Shuan with long golden hair looked at Jian Zhuli and laughed. If I don't work harder, I'll fall behind. Jian Zhuli opened her red lips. As long as I'm not last. Moto waved the recording disc in his left hand. 105 million. I'm sure I won't be last. Shuan shrugged. The number on the disc was only 690,000. It's still early. Since there's a newcomer at the bottom, there won't be any punishment. Jian Zhuli smiled. How do you know the newcomer will be last? Shuan flicked her long golden hair and said, It's the same every cleaning mission. The newcomer will definitely be last. On average, we'll kill one. 2 million universe-devouring bugs. Only a third of the era has passed. I'll definitely surpass one. 2 million by the end of the era. Moto said yes. Moreover, there are too few universe-devouring bugs this time. It's still unknown if the newcomer can complete the mission. Jian Zhuli smiled sweetly and said meaningfully, But do you know why there are so few universe-devouring bugs in this star region? Moto and Shuan looked at each other. They didn't understand. Is there a problem? Shuan combed her long golden hair. Moto looked pensive. There might be a problem. Logically speaking, with a newcomer here, we shouldn't be assigned so few universe-devouring bugs. Could it be that the newcomer offended someone? He didn't offend anyone. The number of universe-devouring bugs in this star region isn't less than other star regions. It might even be more. Jian Zhuli sighed softly and glanced at her two comrades. You guys are too naive. Naive? Moto and Shuan were stunned. Jian Zhuli's beautiful eyes flickered. The scene when she saw Lin Feng that day appeared in front of her eyes. The number on the disc gave her a deep shock. Until now, she was still deeply shaken and touched. Actually, I've seen the newcomer, Jian Zhuli suddenly said. Oh, how's he doing? Moto and Shuan couldn't help but ask curiously, when did you see him? 300 years after the clearing mission started, Jianzhuli said casually. Hearing this, Moto and Shiwen couldn't help but smile. At the beginning, the newcomer must be flustered. No, Jianzhuli's beautiful eyes flickered. At that time, he had already completed the newcomer mission. What? Moto and Shiwen froze. They were obviously stunned. I also find it unbelievable. Jianzhuli looked at Moto and Shiwen and smiled sweetly. However, there was deep shock in her smile. But this isn't everything. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Not only did he complete the newcomer mission, but the number on the disc exceeded 10 million. Boom! Moto and Shiwen were dumbstruck. They exploded on the spot. Chapter 2732. Lin Feng didn't know how big of a commotion he had caused, nor did he care. Even if he set a record, it didn't mean anything. After all, he couldn't even protect himself. The pressure brought about by the yin-yang god was unprecedented. The gap in strength couldn't be bridged by luck or treasures. Just the suppression of his internal universe was enough to make him at a complete disadvantage. After all, Lin Feng was just Huangzun. Even the primal chaos origin Huangzun was too far away from a peak Yuan venerate. When Yellow Spring had entered the battlefield of the supreme god realm, he had been the primal chaos origin Huangzun. At the time, he hadn't attracted much attention from Universe 7's divine tribunal and had only been a cosmos god powerhouse. When Yellow Spring had become an primal chaos origin god, he had fought against the cosmos god. Even the godly venerate Yellow Spring couldn't match him, let alone the current Lin Feng. The gap between the two levels was too huge. Failure. Failure. Failure again. Lin Feng's path to creating a mystic technique was extremely difficult. He had consumed a total of 10 lesser source soul fruits without any results. The mystic technique he had created had remained at the flawless level and was still some distance away from the outstanding level. It wouldn't be easy to cross this threshold. After 1,000 years, he still hadn't succeeded in creating a mystic technique. This method won't work. Lin Feng didn't hesitate to make a decision. 1,000 years was a watershed and a stage. If he couldn't create a mystic technique at this stage, then there was definitely a problem. I shouldn't improve the falling star mystic technique, as the upper limit of this path is likely to be a flawless mystic technique. Overturn and create anew. Destroy and rebuild. The mindset of the falling star mystic technique had been fixed. After 1,000 years of continuous improvement, the falling star mystic technique had indeed become much stronger. Its might had even increased threefold compared to the past. However, it was still at the flawless mystic technique level. It had only been strengthened and hadn't undergone a qualitative change. It was just like the creation of a set of saber moves. When the intent realm had reached the peak, no matter how much it was created, it would only be seeking perfection. It was impossible to change the saber move itself. If his mindset remained at this intent realm, even 10,000 or 100,000 years would be useless, let alone 1,000 years. Change. Lin Feng made a prompt decision. The 1,000 years of creation of secret techniques would not be in vain. At the very least, it allowed him to take many more steps on the path of creation of secret techniques, accumulate more experience, and, at the same time, increase his confidence. The current Lin Feng could easily create flawless secret techniques. Since this was the case, it proved that he had a deep understanding of the origin sea, and his comprehension of the heavenly Tao was not bad. In all aspects, he already had the conditions to create an outstanding secret technique. All that was left was time. The first millennium was a failure. In the second millennium, he still failed. However, Lin Feng didn't give up. After 2,000 years of creating a new secret art, Lin Feng already had a rough idea of how to create a new secret art. As expected, a qualitative change occurred in the third millennium, and he completed the creation of a new secret art for breaking through to the origin sea. Year 3785. Success. Lin Feng clenched his fists. His face lit up with joy. Although there was no enemy for him to test this new secret art on, the power of the Origin Sea impact was over 10 times greater than his current secret art, Falling Star. This was the current secret art, Falling Star, and not the first time he had created it. In the first millennium, The secret art falling star had been strengthened to its current limit, which was about 3 times greater. Lin Feng had named it the Falling Star Second Sky. Now, it was the Falling Star Third Sky. The power of the Falling Star Second Sky was actually close to the limit of a flawless secret technique. The power of the Falling Star Third Sky was 10 times greater than that of the Second Sky, so it was undoubtedly an outstanding secret technique. There are still 56 lesser source soul fruits left. The creation of the Falling Star Third Sky had consumed 24 lesser source soul fruits. It was precisely because of the continuous energy support that it had been able to proceed smoothly without any worries. Unfortunately, there is no test subject. Lin Feng roughly estimated the power of the Falling Star Third Sky, combined with the strong Source Sacred Fruit. As long as he could break through the Yin-Yang God Soul Defense treasure, he would definitely be able to cause great damage. It would be difficult to deal a fatal blow. After all, the Yin-Yang God's internal universe had a great advantage, and his soul was at the peak Yuan Venerate level. However, it would be enough to severely injure him. 30%. With his current strength, Lin Feng had a 30% chance of defeating the Yin-Yang God of Eternity, surviving, and entering the ancient battlefield. Although he didn't have a 50% chance, it was still much better than when he had first entered the Falling Star realm. There is still time. Only half an era had passed, so Lin Feng had already completed his previous plan ahead of time. He had even exceeded his expectations. There are no enemies in the Falling Star Third Sky, so it is difficult to increase its power in actual combat. I have also mastered the perfect chaotic treasure, the rain-painted mirror, to the extreme. The rainstorm mirror requires a perfect source soul, so it is impossible for me to master it now. Don't tell me I should hunt the space-devouring bugs again. Lin Feng hesitated for a moment. He had strengthened it when it was time, but the efficiency of hunting the space-devouring bugs now would be very low, and it would not be of much help to his strength. However, if there were no other places to cultivate, hunting the space-devouring bugs would at least be better than doing nothing. Oh, that's right. The Falling Star Soul. I've been in the Blackboard Void for more than 5,000 years, so the refining of the Falling Star Soul should be done soon. With the help of self-refining, I can completely refine it in 2,000 years at most. Who knows? There might be a surprise. Lin Feng still had some expectations for the Falling Star Soul. At the very least, it was worth a lot. It was a super treasure from the 3 Stars Falling Star treasure map, and it was a Source Soul treasure. It was worth 250 million battle credits, which was the exchange price of the battle order space. According to the actual price of 50% of the armory, it would be 500 million battle credits. A treasure worth 500 million battle credits was already at the level of a peak chaotic treasure, so it would not be too far off. He only needed to see how much help it could bring him. Refine. Lin Feng quickly made a decision. Instead of hunting millions of space-devouring bugs, it was better to refine the Falling Star Soul as soon as possible. It would be best if it was useful, but even if it was useless, at least it would fulfill his wish. Moreover, the Qin Emperor's Origin Heart still had the Qin Emperor's Origin Pearl to refine. If there was no hope, there would be no disappointment. 30% confidence in defeating the Yin-Yang God was already beyond Lin Feng's expectations. The refining of the Falling Star Soul continued. On the 1758th year, Lin Feng's heart stirred. He felt that the changes of the Falling Star Soul were coming to an end. It's done. There was no surprise, only curiosity. Lin Feng really wanted to know what kind of treasure it was. He guessed that it should be a peak chaotic treasure, but even if it was, he did not have the time now. In order to unleash the power of a treasure, he needed enough time to master its ability. There were less than 3,000 years left for the cleanup mission, and it could end at any time. Whoosh! After the Falling Star Soul merged, clear information flowed into Lin Feng's mind. Lin Feng's calm expression changed little by little, from astonishment to astonishment. His pupils expanded continuously, and in an instant, they turned into endless ecstasy.